Welcome back to another episode of the Otter Players Podcast, where this week we'll talk about PlayStation CFO and the statements that PlayStation released concerning the digital future, as well as Xbox expecting to forgo Steam on their next generation console, as well as pulling back from Steam altogether for future releases potentially. Uh, Difficulty discussion in gaming, as well as Square Enix statements regarding remaking other Final Fantasies in the franchise, and the disconnect between gamers and the industry. But before we get into all that, we'll see how everybody's been doing and what they've been playing. Weave, how are you, sir? And what have you been playing?
I'm good. Thank you for asking. Yeah, I mean, guess. I've been, of course, spending a lot of time with my new PC, trying some older games and some newer games. Of course, sort of perfect timing, as if it was somehow destiny. Cyberpunk went on sale right when I got my new PC, so I'm like, okay, yeah, maybe now's the time to finally finish Cyberpunk. So yeah, I got it. Played just a bit. Yeah, I mean, there's just something where you can just go through the options and you see all these options like, okay, yeah, ray tracing, 10 different options, and you can just say, yeah, turn them all on, and nothing happens. Like you can just play the game. Like your PC is not struggling or anything. It's just running the game perfectly. And yeah, I mean, it absolutely looks immaculate with you know uh, everything turned on. Um, so yeah, definitely gonna maybe take the time now that there's not a lot coming yet, and at least for me in August, that sort of is the end of the month. That I have the time to finally wrap up Cyberpunk, assuming I'll be able to finish it in a month time. Also played the Doom Dark Ages DLC Revelations. Again, also just on sale. I also got on PC. Uh, yeah, also so far pretty good. I do like there's a bit of a story this time around, though it does feel like it's not going to be breaking any ground as in totally original. But I mean, I'll take it because for Doom that's a lot. You know, yeah, again runs smoothly. I mean, I've hooked it up to my PC now with sorry, to my TV now with my bought a new HMI cable 2.1 that's long enough to hook up to my TV, and then just play it with your dual edge controller, and like yeah, it's like you're just playing on a console. So again, like all the because I've had some discussion with people online that are just like, yeah, people don't want to play on PC because it's complicated. Like, dude, like I turn it on, I hook it up to my TV, just press play, and I'm playing with my controller. So yeah, I don't know what to tell you. It's not that complicated. I mean, the only difference is you have options, and yeah, that's it. And oh yeah, you have to update your drivers. Cool. You also have to update your game. Whenever a patch is released. So it's their excuses. So again, it's up to you. If you want to play a console or PC, I just choose both. And yeah, I'm happy with the options. Also was playing, still playing Mouse PI. I'm near the end, but I'm kind of because there's I kind of have to wrap up all the or at least I want to wrap up all the trophies before I proceed to the end because there is sort of the point of no return, and there is a really grindy one where you have to like win 30 matches in the mini game. And I kind of postponed that until the end, which now I regret. I wish I had just done a few every time I went back to the hub area. But yeah, so I kind of have to sort of grind there, and I'm really, yeah, um, yeah, I don't really feel like doing it, but I kind of want to do it because I want to finish the story because it has been great so far. So yeah, I'll probably just plow through and just put it on, put a video on or whatever, and just grind through the 30 matches I have to win. And once I've done that, I'll go straight to the end game, finish the game, and then probably fully immerse into Cyberpunk. Yeah, that's what I've been playing.
Cool. Sounds good. Sounds like you're enjoying the new PC, and that is the purpose, man. Like you said, it's good to have choice again between wherever you want to play, so you can choose the best place to play. And yeah, Cyberpunk is awesome on there, especially you finish it. Maybe you get play around with some of the mods and stuff. It's an incredible experience. So yeah, I agree with that. Uh, Morgan, how are you, ma'am? And what have you been playing?
Yeah, I'm good. Um, I am at that crucial moment in every hardcore gamer's gaming life where you're at the lull between another big release. Like, it's that pause before the storm, right? Um, where August really starts to kick off during like the middle or towards the end is when the games I'm looking forward to are coming out. So I have like a couple weeks kind of just either go on the backlog or try something new before I have to, dive back into the list of games that I have pre-ordered and things like that. So right now I've been playing Avatar, the what's it called? The Frontier of Pandora. It was on PS Plus, but instead of doing that, I just ended up just buying the complete edition. Um, it was on sale, so I was like, why not? Um, and I was always initially interested in the game, but I think it came out at a time that I was busy playing other things. Like it wasn't a game that was I considered on my top priority. It looked interesting and I wanted to get to it eventually, but it wasn't something I was like, oh, that's day one for me, right?
It also didn't have the third
And I
person option.
yeah, and I was about to say, I'm cool with playing games in first person. I don't have an issue with it. Um, but specifically with this game, I feel like the game is just too pretty. And I want to see my Navi, especially since you're customizing your Navi character. I'm like, I'm doing all this customization, but I can't see my character. It seems kind of like I don't know. Because there's a lot of running around and obviously shooting with your bow and arrow, and there's just a lot of things that make and like gathering and things like that. There's just a lot of like kind of hands-on things that make first person seem kind of wonky in this game. And I feel like Ubisoft kind of realized that, and that's why they put that third person patch out. And I think they did that like at the end of last year. And when they announced it, I was like, oh yeah, definitely got to get to this at some time. But again, I was still busy playing other games that I had prioritized. So now was a good time. I feel like it's a good rule of thumb that if you can delay on a Ubisoft game, you should, because it'll always be better at launch. And that is true with this game, definitely. Absolutely gorgeous because obviously Pandora is a gorgeous world, full of vibrant colors and crazy looking wildlife and plants, and like it's just like it's huge. And when I first entered the game, when you first get step out into Pandora, I was just like, oh shit! I took like you know 12 screenshots. It's just so gorgeous. I'm playing on the Pro and with PSSR and 60 and the quality mode, and it's just great. Like I haven't run into any hiccups of performance or anything like that. It like I said, it looks and runs great. Um, it still has that, obviously it's Ubisoft, so it still has that Ubisoft-esque formula of, taking down um, enemy forts like the RDA and things like that. And some of the mission structure is kind of confusing. The map is also kind of confusing. It's just like there's just a lot going on, and they give you a lot of information at the beginning of the game. But I'm starting to kind of understand how to play and how it's set up. In this game, the gathering, as far as like gathering fruits and uh, hunting, like hunting the wildlife and things like that, are very important to the game because as far as, you have to eat for your health, and you also have to gather things to craft, like for your weapons and your clothing, and to upgrade those things, and that nature. So that's a very important part of the game. And I actually, it was annoying me at first to having to do that, but I'm actually kind of enjoying the gathering and hunting part. They have a system similar to Horizon, where you use your Nave senses and you can see kind of like the weak points of the animals, or even like the humans that you are about to fight. And what you want to do when you're hunting the animals is hit them in their weak spot, which is like their heart. And if you hit them there, it only takes one shot to kill them, and it's considered like a clean kill, obviously, because it was painless, and you hit them in one, shot. It's really cool when you do it, because then your avatar will, thank Awa for the kill, and you send the spirit off to Awa, then you take like the meat and the fur and the teeth and everything like that, for crafting and things like that. And you can cook different meals by combining different things, like the fruits, the vegetables, the meat. It has some really cool systems in the game. So I'm only like 4, maybe 5 hours into the game, and I'm doing a lot of side missions. I think like the main campaign is only like 25 hours, possibly, but there's a lot of side stuff. Like obviously it's a Ubisoft game, so you know how it goes. It's like 25 for the main mission, and then you can spend like you know maybe 80 plus doing like all the side activities and things like that. So so far I'm enjoying it. I will see how it goes, but I am really enjoying just the world itself. It's really fun, and I really like customizing my avatar. I think she looks kind of badass. So um, yeah, I am having fun with Avatar: Frontiers of Pandora.
Cool. Sounds good. Yeah, I agree. It's definitely a lot more fun playing it after all the completion and all the other things that they've added and all the quality of life updates. I did try it initially when it came out, and it is significantly improved. But yeah, the way the game looks has always been amazing looking since day one. But yeah, much improved with PSSR 2.0 and all the other things.
Oh
Uh,
yeah, the
which is,
PSSR is definitely pulling its weight. It wasn't initially toggled on for some reason. Like it was like
it was an FSR at
AMD.
first.
Yeah, and then I went into the settings, obviously, and I was like, oh, let me switch it to PSSR, and I see the immediate jump. Like it looked good even with FSR, but when you turn PSSR on, if you have the PS5 Pro, obviously, it like immediately looked better. I was like, oh shit, like it was like an immediate a jump in quality. So shout out to Ubisoft for actually utilizing the PSSR in a good way.
Agreed. Uh, Omar, how are you, sir? And what have you been playing?
Yeah, so first of all, I got me another game, Dragon Dogma 2. Let's go. Um, I'm still playing Outlaw, and while I'm enjoying the game, I I don't know, how do I say this? Like the game is cool, like story is nice, gameplay is fine. It's everything else. I'm getting significant amount of crashes. Like to put it into perspective, we all on the fuck Sony right now. But when I played Death Stranding 2 or Horizon Forbidden West, I didn't get a single crash. While I'm playing right now, I'm getting crash like every playthrough, which is it's like Ubisoft, help! I want to love your game, I really do. Another thing is I'm frustrated with. I thought maybe that's a me thing, but no. Uh, Apparently, people all over the world are having same issue with it. In this game, you unlock new abilities by doing side quests and specific ways. For example, uh, do a stealth mission without getting caught, something like that. You do that, and your mission doesn't count. So I have no idea how the dev released this game and said, yeah, this is ready for a re-release. Re-release. Outside of that, yeah, no, I want to love it, but I will probably be what you call it, dropping it once Beast of Reincarnation hit. Cause Outlaw, nah, it's frustrating because I wanna love Outlaw, but that's about it. Oh, and I am probably gonna play Mortal Shell uh, open beta in a while. That's about it for me.
All right. Well, and Nate
Yeah, I
has
was worried
apparently
where he
walked off. It's
is.
fine. It's fine. It's fine. We're gonna move on to the first topic. The PlayStation topic. All right. The big one. All right. So PlayStation is finally uh you know removed their silence about the issue of the the physical games. They finally broke the silence, right? And we have our CFO, PlayStation CFO, has come out and stated that PlayStation itself is perfectly fine with the decision that they made. There have been they've seen no repercussions, no kind of negative, you know, pushback on anything as far as financials go, which is the only thing they seem to care about. And they have no plans to reverse course on what they're doing with as far as ending physical media. So yeah, and funny enough, they also stated that again that they haven't seen anything against their financials, but again their financials, their quarterly reports are only from the last 3 months, and it ended on June 30th and they had made the announcement for the ending of physical media uh, the day after on July 1st. So obviously they wouldn't be seeing any repercussions from that, but it's been very interesting the nonchalant way PlayStation has essentially, I don't know, talked about something as big as ending physical media. But Weeb, how do you feel about PlayStation's statement and their financial quarters, their financial quarterlies? How do you feel about that?
Fuck PlayStation. Fuck Sony. Yeah. I mean, yeah. I mean, they're like you said, the bullshit spin circus is on full overdrive. Like, come on, who are you kidding? You're saying, yeah, we didn't see any financial impact from our results before we announced this. Like, they knew what they were doing. They knew what this is why they announced it on the 1st of July, because they could just report is that, yeah, look, our numbers are great. Like, nothing happened. Of course not. Nothing happened because it didn't happen then. And now you somehow spinning that, or maybe have your corporate chills, or hopefully for them paid chills, spin that for you as if this is proof that the boycott or the outrage or whatever has no effect. Bullshit. Yeah, of course it has an effect, and I knew it would have an effect, but
It,
they just didn't want it to show up in their
no,
financial results of
I
the last
don't think
quarter.
it did have. So this what this remind me of, literally when they went to PC. We gave them pushback. They just didn't care.
Yeah, but
And
this is look, the entire PC thing is like it didn't take away anything. Like, for some people somehow it did, but yeah, it didn't take away anything because it didn't uh, it took away the idea of
no, oh,
exclusives, but
okay,
it
I
didn't
get that
take
part.
an
But
option
I'm
away.
mainly focusing on the pushback because
Yeah.
when they
Okay.
went to
So
PC,
you're
they
having
got
you're
significant.
having a disconnect here. What Weeb is referring to is what they said. Their statement is only particularly tied to the financial statement. That's it. It's not about the noise on Twitter. It's not about the noise in the pushback. They're saying we heard that, but there's no effect on our books, and then they moved on. That's the
Mm,
difference. They're not saying
got
we didn't hear. They're saying they don't care because effectively it made no change on their books, which like we was saying is why they targeted it at the specific time they did because there's effectively no time for anything to happen.
Hmm. They made the announcement right before the end of that financial quarter. So obviously, nothing that they said on the next day was going to affect
To be
anything.
clear, that financial quarter ended 30th of June,
Mhm.
and the announcement was the 1st of July. So they literally
Mhm.
timed it that it would not show up in their books because it didn't happen yet.
Okay,
And
so
now,
let's wait 1 month then. We will see what they're gonna say afterwards. What
well,
month? Like for the
that's the
next
thing.
podcast.
They're to their shareholders. They don't have to report it just yet, so they're kind of hoping that they can uh, scrub it on the rug. Just say, oh yeah, there were other maybe that like GTA's happened. That's probably also the reason why they're
Yep.
timing it now because GTA's happened because they're gonna make record numbers in sales of that game, and then any effect that people canceling subscriptions or not buying their games or leaving PlayStation will be unnoticeable because of how big that game is. That's probably why they timed it right now because they knew that they could get away with it to their investors because that's the entire thing. Like they don't care about the gamers, they don't care about us, they care about their investors, about the people who can get them fired if they don't, do
So
their.
they played their game correct.
Sorry.
They played their card well.
Well,
Sadly, but yeah.
I don't agree with that statement because it's a very short-sighted statement. I can see all the different reasons why they made that decision, but it's not because of the official reasons they're stating. It's not because of, but they're trying to blame us as gamers in general, saying, yeah, it's gamer preferences, and they're trying very hard to make sure the impact isn't visible due to the timing when they made the announcement. They're trying very hard to fudge the numbers in a way that looks favorable to digital. I mean, we talked about it before, where they're not even for third party. They're not even including the royal or deducting the royalties from the digital revenue. They do that for the physical revenue. So there's always already probably legal wise they can do that because they have probably in fine print somewhere saying, hey, yeah, there is a take into account that we didn't deduct the royalties from digital sales, but still, it's very they're trying very hard to shape the narrative to frame in a way that oh, it's not like you guys weren't buying it anyway, so it won't affect you, which isn't true because that's what everybody has been warning you about is that it will affect you because they're doing this purely because they want to they literally come and said that they want to monetize their existing user base, their existing customers more, and they're going to do that by essentially just charging us more. They're going to increase their subscription service. They're going to increase game prices. That's a reality that we're gonna have to face. And the problem is that because they're killing the physical space, is that you don't have any other option. You cannot buy your PlayStation games at a local retail store because that retail store will have to discount their unsold games at some point because they have shelf space. That costs money, so they have to get rid of that at some point. So they can do the PlayStation in their digital storefront doesn't have that problem because they're never going to run out of storage because it's all digital, right? So they don't have that issue, and then they can just charge whatever they want. And again, like we've said before, the problem that PlayStation is underestimating is the fact that they're not best in the class in terms of their digital storefront. They're creating more competition there because they're evening the playing field. Because yes, most people bought digital, but the fact that you had the physical option was important to a lot of people. And I think they're seriously underestimating the impact of that. They're seriously underestimating the power. I mean, look, I'm not saying that the physical gamers can somehow make Sony change their mind. I'm not saying they can somehow hurt them in the short term to the point where they have no choice to change their mind. But in the long term, yes, because if these people are who make like there's so many dedicated YouTube channels of people who are constantly talking about games and their new physical acquisitions that are championing your platform. Basically, there's so many people on social media. And literally, like these are the high spenders. These are literally the people you're targeting. Uh, the people that like who are you targeting? Are you targeting the casuals, the ones that buy one or two games every year? Like, are you want to monetize them more? Good luck, and they're not like the so-called casuals. Like, if they see $1,000 console, they're just gonna say, "Yeah, I don't need that. I'm good. I'll stay with my PS5 or God forbid their PS4." You know, so that's the problem that the position they're putting themselves in, and they know that their next generation is going to be tougher because of the hardware uh, uh, you know inflation. They know that their console is going to be way out of the pricing range of the average consumer. They know that they have to bank on the hardcore gamers who will buy the device regardless of how much it costs. And they know that the only way they can make more money of those people is to force them into a particular way of buying their games where they can control the price and charge them more, and they don't have an option to say no. The problem, of course, for them is that, well, the same hardcore gamers do have options. I mean, if you have the money to buy a PS6, then you have the money to buy a PC, whatever configuration it is. But even if you buy, a lower end PC, that's probably still going to be more powerful than the PS6, and you have more options because you don't necessarily have to, be stuck with a single storefront that can charge whatever they want. You can just go to Steam, GOG, Epic if you're desperate. Everybody can, and there's so many other storefronts with great sales. Plus, yeah, you don't have the hassle of paying for online. You well, and I know Nate is a huge fan of mods, so yeah, you have that option too. You can also tweak the game if it's not if it like you love to play the game, it has a frustrating design choice where you just like you can just can't you can just live with that, and you can change that. And
Absolutely.
that's like the people I think people are generally gonna a lot of people are gonna consider that and think, okay, yeah, why would I pay full price to Sony for less options for a storefront where I can't, doesn't have a return policy. You can't gift games, um, and they've already said you owe nothing. They could just take it away, and they're not offering you anything. They haven't said anything in a way to improve that storefront, right? That's the entire problem. The other side of that coin is that okay, you take away an option and you're not giving anything in return. And yes, the excuse that I'm hearing is they don't want to announce anything about the PS6. Well, first of all, store policy and your security and whatnot has nothing to do with your new console now. So that's something you could have already fixed a long time ago. And you should have fixed that before you dropped this bombshell announcement. The fact that they haven't is means they haven't fixed their store policy. They haven't retrained their help desk to not just give away people's accounts because they just happen to know what last game is you bought. Uh, they're fine with that because it takes too much time and money to change that, and their results are sufficient enough where they don't have to care of the odd one out that just yeah uh, tweets on Twitter and it's just forgotten unless you're Colin Moriarty and have connections, and then suddenly it becomes a PR disaster and you have to do something. But it's not like that has somehow resulted in them coming and say, hey, yeah, we realized there's a gap in our process. We fixed that. No, they didn't, and they won't. And that's what they're asking you to do. You're taking away options. You're not giving anything in return, and you're seriously underestimating. Because for me, yeah, that was the like. I mean, a PC like I was thinking about that years ago when my old PC broke down. Then it's like I don't need it. I've got every console under the sun. Like I have a Steam Deck. I can play my indies, and everything else runs fine on PS5. And I prefer to buy physical because that's it gives me I like to collect. They're generally cheaper, and it gives me a sense of okay, if my account gets hacked, if I lose my account, I don't lose all my games. But that's what Sony wants me to do. And now, yeah, with PC, it's mainly digital. Technically, you could burn your GOG games on two disc if you want, and there's some people who are very dedicated making, I think, SD cards. Creating sort of Nintendo-like cartridges of their games. So yes, you could do that if you want, but they're like, I can spread my risk there, and I know that Steam is way better with recovering their accounts. I know, like I said, GOG has no DRM, so literally you can just download the game, put it on a hard drive, and it's yours forever. You don't have to worry about your account getting hacked because you can still play the game. It's yeah, it's sort of a I see a lot of people comparing it to the PS3 generation. Yeah, there is a good chance because I also think a lot of the people who were there back then are no longer with the company. They moved on, so they kind of forgot or that sort of collective memory in that company is kind of gone. They are kind of in a position where they think we are too big to fail. Like we dominated in the fourth generation, the five generation. Like, yeah, they can get away with this. And yeah, I mean, as much as I don't want them to fail because I do love their games, I'm also like, for the industry, it's probably better that they're knocked down a peg, that they at least feel that this had more negative consequences than they were, bargaining for. Um, yeah, and deservedly so, because you can't just screw around your consumers and just take away things, keep on taking, and not expecting any pushback, and not expecting to feel that in what's most important to you, your bottom line. So yeah, and no matter fudging your numbers or whatever you want to try and do, because again, it's so tone deaf that the only thing that comes out of your mouth, like, yeah, we didn't notice anything in our financial results, which again is a lie because you're not presenting your financial results uh, after you made that announcement. But again, like it's so ton like instead of addressing the issue, instead of just talking about, okay, yeah, we understand, we are offering these options, like, crying out loud, at least tell us that the PS6 has an optional drive, so that you're, because right now basically you're telling everybody who bought their PS5 games physically that they can go fuck themselves because their games are unplayable on the PS6, right? I mean, that's what you're telling me. You're not confirming there's going to be a disk drive. You're already basically confirming it's an all digital console, but you're not even telling me if there's an option to put a disk drive on, so I at least can carry my PS5 games with me. Uh, yeah, what do you expect me to do? Because I think that might even be deliberate, that they're just saying, okay, we're not going to tell them, because they can of course use that as a sort of as a sort of hail mary, where it's, oh yeah, no, don't worry, we have a disk drive, but also that they're just hoping that people are, oh, maybe I'll just have trade my games in and buy everything digital now, because I can carry them with me to the next generation. And I think they're seriously underestimating the people's vitriol, or resistance, or whatever you want to call it. Because yeah, of course, if I don't think the average person is just gonna say, "Oh, sure, I'm just gonna buy everything again because you told me to," right? No, like I'm actually buying certain more games physically now, because I've bought a shit ton of physical games the last couple of weeks, and including some games that are already owned digitally. But like with this, is like, okay, yeah, I'm just looking for a physical version of that game that I know is playable, on disc or on cartridge or whatever is coming out, and I don't have to worry about, if there's going to be a future, just like with those movies that Sony says, hey, the license expired, we're just going to take it away. Even though you bought it, we're just going to take it away because we can. Because what else are you going to do? And yeah, I'm not gonna wait for that. I'm sort of a gaming prepper right now. I'm buying everything physical that I still can buy, new games, older games. I'm gonna build that collection or complete a collection. And for my new games going forward after 2020, January 2028, like, yeah, I mean, my PC is there, so that's going to be the primary. Like, if there's no good reason to not just go for a buy it on PC, if there's I don't know, if it's a small indie game and I can play it on Switch too, and it has its own cartridge, sure, I'll play the Switch too. Uh,
Mm-hmm.
if it's the PlayStation exclusive, I don't have a choice, of course. But then, I'm not sure if again, I'm not even sure if I'm gonna get the PS6 day and date, because that they would have to launch with a really killer app that's exclusive to PS6, because we all know that these games are going to be cross generational for at least, maybe even 5 years into the console generation. And before, that didn't really matter to me, because I'm like, sure, I know that a lot of these games, like I know that Horizon Forbidden West and God of War Ragnarok were playable on the PS4, but I still want to play them on the PS5 because that sort of was the best version of that game. And now it's like, yeah, but I don't first of all, I don't expect the gap to be this as big as it was with the PS4 to PS5, because there is a limit to how, we're already talking about, there's limits to how good a game can look, how graphically impressive they can be.
Especially
So
because you have a
there's already
PS5 Pro.
that. So there's going to be like a diminishing returns, basically. It's not going to be like you're going to see. It's going to be day and night. And again, before it was like, cool, but I don't mind, buying the latest piece of hardware just to have a little bump in resolution or FPS or whatever. And now, like, yeah, but really, because again, you're asking me to give up a lot of stuff. I cannot, buy my games physically anymore. The preferred way I want to buy it, and again, it's a compromise. Like, you're just offering the same I can do in PC, except you charge me more. It's less performant. Um, so yeah, why would I invest in a platform? So generally, that's what I'm asking myself right now. Like, I don't know for sure. I mean, again, I love their studios. If there's going to be The Last of Us 3, it's going to be PlayStation 6 exclusive. I'm there day one. But if
That's
they
the
don't,
point. That's literally it. Unless you drop PlayStation completely, I don't think they're gonna change.
well, I don't think, but that's kind of the thing is like they're th- it's not the hardware, right? It's the software that and the third
Yeah.
party software. That's where they make their money.
That's where they
Exactly.
make money. Because if Weave just buys a PlayStation and literally just uses it for first party, PlayStation loses money
Uh,
for that. So that's not helping
Significantly.
PlayStation. So we would not be helping PlayStation at that point. So he'd still be technically boycotting them because he's not using it the way that PlayStation wants
yeah, I
him to.
mean, yeah, I mean that's exactly what has happened. Like, and again, that's me. I'm not saying that I'm representing the majority or any significant I'm not a representative of anybody, but I like if I'm hearing more people talking about that, like I see a lot of people on again, it still is it's a snapshot, it's a fragment of it's a vocal minority. Like I know that that doesn't represent everybody. I don't know how big that effect's going to be, but it's still like you still see it. Like people are seriously considering just okay, I'm just gonna now buy a PC because the reason why like the physical part of that was a big part of my enjoyment because yeah, as collecting things is fun. Like a lot of people were proud of their collection. Like if that ends, like yeah, and you still want a game, then you seriously have to consider. But okay, what? Yeah, do I want to make PlayStation my main platform? I can just go to PC and just buy everything there. That's multiplat and only have the PlayStation for exclusives. Which yes, yeah, sure, you still buy the PlayStation, you still buy their exclusives, but yeah, again, like I said, Morgan, that's not the moneymaker. That's just that's not what they want you to do. They want you bought into the ecosystem and buy everything on there. That's every third party game, so that it can make their money there. And yeah, I'm again I can't like say predict the future in that sense. Like maybe their gamble pays off and people will the PS6 will be massively successful and the drop off will be compensated by their ability to just charge yeah full price for every game and get the full the full cut from that game. I don't know, but I do have a feeling that the drop off is more than they were anticipating. And yeah, it could very well. Like I see. I also can make a counter argument for when people say like it can happen very quickly. Like PlayStation themselves experienced with the PS3 generation. Like
Mm-hmm.
they were massively successful with the one, with the two, like nobody expected them to be that they could fail with the PlayStation 3. I mean, Nintendo failed with the Wii U. Like that was such a dud that they had to replace it with the Switch much earlier in the generation than they had anticipated. I mean, Xbox screwed themselves over. Like they had success with the 360, and then they completely fucked it up with the one and never recovered from that because yeah, this is where we are at right now. Um, so I'm not like again I don't hope for anybody's failure. I'm not saying that it will happen, but I'm also like now not ruling it out that there's going to be a backlash or an effect, on the success of PlayStation Next console. Which yes, they can of course blame on everything under the moon because they will probably say, yeah, it's the economy, right? It's because of the hardware prices. Like people are not buying it as much as we would hope because it's just too expensive. We're just gonna keep on supporting the PS5 for as long as possible. And again, it's all in that sense all part of the deal because yeah they anticipate that they're going to make less money with the PS6 because of how expensive it is that they're just now hedging their bets. They're now just consolidating their their revenue stream is okay. We just want to maximize the amount of money we can make of the games on that platform because we have to because we have to present that to our shareholders. We have to yeah, we want to keep our bonuses and our jobs and meet our targets. Yeah, that it's pure spreadsheet management, and yeah, I mean, in the end, it's always has been a business, so it's kind of sad. We don't want to think about it that way, but that's a reality of it. Like I mean, it's our hobby. It produces incredible pieces of art, but in the end, there's also yeah, a corporate environment. It's also a business, and yeah, where there's yeah, and then you have to make money. The only problem is like we want to give you our money, but we don't want you to take advantage of us, screw us over. We want to be able to yeah, have that feeling that we can own our games. And yes, that generally for me a concern, and it's a concern for like it's part of the bigger what they call the enshittification of tech. The whole idea that you don't own anything, that that you're just buying a subscription. I think Adobe introduced that with their Photoshop and their PDF reader, and it has come back to bite them because now they're losing stock value. I heard because of because and I think they were fined even with because of how difficult it was to even cancel that subscription. Um, but that's sort of the model that a lot of other companies have adopted. That's Microsoft has adopted with Office, and that's what they would love, and that the whole digital ecosystem is part of that because and you don't own anything. They can just take it away from you, and there's nothing you can do about it because it's in their terms of service. You don't own it. I mean, they can take away my physical list because they would have to come into my house and take it away, and then I have I can just call the cops and have them arrested because that's trespassing. Uh, it's crazy, or crazy again. I see sort of the larger direction that the tech industry as a whole and the gaming is going to, but it's crazy that yeah, we are kind of living in this time where at the same time we have fantastic games coming, but we also have the industry, the corporations, the console manufacturers making these crazy decisions that are just taking the fun out of it because you're kind of you want to enjoy this hobby in the way you want to enjoy it, and they're just making it harder and harder for you. And again, like I generally hope that for the people who do yeah, just want to who say this doesn't affect me, I'm all playing digital games. I generally do hope that they make the storefront better. They don't start to price gouge their games and turn their $80 games to $90 and $100 games in a couple of years. But I'm very skeptical because everything they're doing is basically gearing towards yeah, the way that they just want to be able to yeah, to maximize their revenue by charging you as much as they can and see and basically like burning the bridges behind them because yeah, you don't have a choice. You like now a lot of people say, yeah, I'm just gonna buy all my games second hand because I don't want Sony to get my money. Well, good luck trying to do that when it's all digital, So that's what they want. Yeah, good luck with them. Again, yeah, I've made my choice. I'm just, they're at least they're not going to get all my money anymore. So yeah, that's their loss, I guess. I mean, I was a big spender. Again, it's not going to make a drop in their bucket, but who knows? maybe if enough people do it, they at least will uh, feel it somewhat. And yeah, I don't know. Like there's part of me that does want it to at least that they feel that they see, okay, this has had much more effect than what we anticipated. Like people generally cared about this, and we screwed up, and we have to apologize for that. But I don't know. Like I'm not hopeful. I don't think they're gonna reverse this, no matter what we do. Um, but yeah, I mean, then it's just fuck around and find out, see what the end result will be. Sorry, I took up enough time, so let somebody else talk.
No, all good. No, those are all really good points. Like I said, yeah, I mean, you made the point, right? Like, people are not waiting, right? Like, despite PlayStation saying, like, there's no downfall to this, blah blah blah. I mean, people have already this generation been investing in PC, right? Before this announcement. And this just gives people more reason to invest in PC or push more towards enjoying their Switch 2 or Steam Decks or whatever they have, right? Um, Looking for alternatives to enjoy their gaming. And it's like, again, that's been happening. And then now more people are, pushing towards the consideration of PC, for various reasons, right? Most people, there it was in addition to, but a lot of people are just flat out switching at the same time because of that announcement. So it's like you're not even going to get a partial investment from some of these people potentially. Um, so like it's pushing the issue in making it even worse. Because like I said, a lot of people have been investing in PCs for whether they want to do YouTube, they want to do Twitch, whatever. The whole thing with streaming, um, but also there are a ton of games that are exclusively on PC, right? Um, that quite a few people do enjoy those types of games that happen to be exclusive. They don't have a first party development perspective, but it is the easiest to develop on PC and so on and so forth. And so a lot of those titles are there, and a lot of those smaller titles succeed there with self publishing. So yeah, there's a big push and a big reason why a lot of people are considering that more than ever. And yeah, PlayStation is. I agree with you. They're severely underestimating this, and like I said, it's not going to happen overnight. Um, Definitely not. I mean, this generation is already neck deep, right? Like whatever
Mhm.
few other people who are going to come in to play GTA 6, and what have you. That's already guaranteed, right? And they know that. Like you said, they played this perfectly right at the edge of that financial plus, the next one including GTA 6 and so on, which is where they'll probably scrape by 100 million. And everything will look good for a bit, right? Until, like you said, the PS6, where they'll, if things are lower than they anticipate, they'll go, oh well, market conditions and the price of the console and blah blah blah. But eventually, even that won't be a really good excuse, right? And that's why I mentioned to a lot of people, revisit this conversation, about 3 years in and see how they feel, because that's usually where they start to get a feel for the pace of the console sales, and where they're doing what they're doing revenue wise, and that's where you'll get an idea of, hey, you know, besides the console, even though we're selling a little bit below or decently below track because of potentially this, that, or the third, revenue per user is also down, and things of that nature. So, in other de facto exclusives that they used to have, they don't have that anymore either. So it's like, as PlayStation is losing reasons for people to prioritize it, they're creating reasons for people to prioritize other platforms, which is honestly pretty hilarious. And they're just completely blindsided by it with this
Yeah,
very lackluster
because
attitude.
the big like again like GTA 6, yeah, I mean it's console exclusive right now. It's all digital, so they're not gonna notice anything there.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, I mean, like something like The Witcher 4 when that comes out, that's gonna be a huge game, and that's you know uh, a game that's made for PC, so it's gonna probably run. It's gonna run best on PC anyway.
Absolutely.
That's a given. But that's depending on when it comes. Like if that's I mean if that's comes maybe 2028, maybe that's a bit early. But if that's gonna come, somewhere in within the generation, like the early in the generation of the PS6, you might see a lower turn or a lower split with the PS6 or the PlayStation in general and PC, as you would have seen maybe with The Witcher 3. That will be interesting to see because then you see, okay, there's probably a larger portion of gamers who made that switch to to the PC, or maybe we were on there, but we're like, I'm good. I prefer console because I can buy the disc and I can own it and I can put it in my collection and whatnot. Like the I mean, the Witcher 3 had like three all the DLC. I mean, the DLCs were digital, but they did have come with the Gwen deck like that. So that was like a really neat collectible, and the reason to order it physically, even though you didn't get a disc there. Um, but yeah, that's something that's gonna disappear because again, you're also not gonna get these. I mean, they're the cards in the box that's gonna be a temporary holdover thing to somehow placate the retailers, but they also know what's up. They know that that's gonna disappear because people are not gonna buy
Exactly.
a disc in the box because they can trade in and things like Call of Duty. Like I mean I know a lot of console gamers buy. Look at how many Call of Duties there are. You can buy used at GameStop or whatever shop you go to for your trade-ins. Like that's going to disappear. And I think a lot of people are generally on the platform that their friends are, like even the people who buy their Call of Duties always digitally. Yeah, there's also a possibility that there's going to be shift where people say, yeah, well, if I can't, get a second hand and trade it in, yeah, might as well go to PC, and then all their friends are going to follow, and then you have, yeah, a sort of cascading effect. Again, like this, I don't know how big that effect is going to be, but yeah, there is a risk, like if that there's just let's say like if there's a leak in the dam, like eventually that dam is going to come down. So you know,
Exactly. Yep, you compromise it, but like something like you said, as strong as a dam can be compromised by, like you said, like a small leak, and the whole thing comes down. And like Hero said, Rome wasn't taken down in a day. The same way it
Nope.
wasn't built in one, it wasn't taken down in a day. But people often fail to see the long term effect, for the short term lack thereof effect, right? It's like just because there's no short term effect doesn't mean there's no long term effect. And yeah, that's a very
I,
interesting
but
way they're looking
wouldn't
at that.
someone like PlayStation be aware of that?
No, again, this is the same thing that everybody says about every company that is successful. Hey, they got a bunch of smart people in there looking at numbers, looking at trajectories, looking at graphs. Again, that has happened, and people have said that for years about so many successful companies just to watch those companies fail. Yes, there are a ton of smart people working at these companies. Doesn't mean those people are in the positions they need to be in. Doesn't mean they're the ones that are allowed to make the decisions. There are a ton of reasons why companies fail, despite having the information they need to realize the things that they need to realize when they should have realized it. Like, again, Microsoft gets the same benefit, right? Yet we've also witnessed them lay off a small country in the last 5 years. Like, I mean, again, like these companies, doesn't matter how intelligent, the amount of people are that work for them, they're still prone to mistakes. They're still prone to arrogance, and thinking there's no competition for
it
them.
it,
It's
it, it
it's a
doesn't
mess.
doesn't even have to because you're also underestimating corporate culture. It is, like if you have with these CEOs with these higher management types, like they come in, they're in that job for a couple of years, and then they go out and they take out a big payout, and
Exactly.
their job is to generate growth in a particular period of time to generate shareholder value, and they do that by cutting costs, so layoffs. They increase prices. They're in this case eliminate physical gaming. They're not going to be around to see the long term effects of that, because that's what that was not the assignment, right? So they can be perfectly fine with accepting the fact that they're gonna on short term increase the revenue, increase the numbers, so that they can get their payouts and their bonuses. And they don't care that in the long term, the entire brand will collapse or be in a downturn because of their decisions. I mean, clearly, the people at Xbox didn't care about the fact that their rebranding of the console to a media device uh, caused irreparable damage to that brand. So they did anyway, because that was the job they had, and that was their the way that they
Oh,
would get their payouts. You know,
okay, so
yeah.
I have a question then. Let's say Microsoft sees the error in the way and they pull a Sony. How Sony didn't go DRM the way they were supposed to go and give us a disc. Do you think they could win next generation, especially
Absolutely
with the
not.
rumors?
No, and they're not going to do that.
Yeah, it's
So
not even a
who would
question. The answer is
so who
no.
would go? Also, is it going to be Nintendo? Cause I
I
can't
mean,
see Nintendo.
Nintendo's gonna keep doing what they've been doing,
Mhm.
Yeah, and I
and people
can't
who are
see.
happy with Nintendo are happy with Nintendo. But Nintendo is not the answer for a replacement for a high end home console. So they're not
So
gonna be the
PlayStation.
answer.
So despite PlayStation, which is looking to be a massive, not per se fuck up, but like um what do we call it, problem, I will just say, they still gonna be reigning on top.
Okay, so again, the issue is I didn't say there's no alternative. I just said that there's no W in this for Xbox. Xbox is irrelevant in this conversation because Xbox, like I told you, is on PC already. So PC is the primary problem right now for them, for now
But
and in the future.
uh, if they drop Steam, would they not drop PC
They're not.
altogether? Or
They're still not
They still
dropping
have an
that.
they still have an Xbox PC store. They just won't. That's people. I don't know why people keep thinking because they said they're dropping Steam that means they're dropping PC. Steam is not PC. There's multiple storefronts. They have their own PC storefront. That's what they want. They want people buying from their PC storefront.
so they're not dropping day and date, they just drop. Okay, gotcha.
Yes, they're not getting rid of PC. The
They can't
PC
get rid
is
of PC.
literally their
PC is the one
platform.
holding them up right now.
Exactly.
Like who is going to be buying these games if they drop PC? They only have what
Well,
30
that's why I
something
was
million on
so
Xbox. Like,
confused about
and
this.
then there's
I
Game
was
Pass.
like,
Like that would literally be self destruction. Like
Absolutely. But
okay,
yeah,
gotcha.
no. Xbox has no W in this. Xbox needs to continue and hope that the Xbox's focus right now is that their games need to be system seller level games. They need to focus on getting their quality up, releasing 9 out of 10s across the board, especially for some of these major titles they have coming up, and solidifying a reason to invest in their platform. That is their focus, bar none. Releasing with a disc isn't going to do nothing. They're also not going to do that because they fired their physical division like 3 years ago.
Yeah, I was
Like,
about to say, like, they literally asked everything and everyone. How are they gonna pull that on one?
yeah, so this whole like, even if tomorrow they announced, hey, look, trying to be funny like PlayStation did with the borrow the games thing. We're going to support it going forward. We got you guys. Everybody already knows that's bull, because even this generation, the majority of their games were literally just uh like they didn't even play off the disc. They just downloaded it off of it, and then you had to, install it and download it off the disc anyway in order for it to play. So it couldn't play without the internet anyway. So yeah, there's no hope for that. Like they'd have to change their entire structure to even consider doing that. And like I said, they also don't have the stable of they also don't have the player base to support actually being exclusive, instead of this quote unquote console exclusive, which again doesn't really do them anything, because like I said, anyone on PC already has access to all their titles as it is. And even if they forward went Steam, like Morgan was saying, they'd still be on PC, just not on Steam. Which again, it's still a terrible idea for anybody who remembers that history, in the
Yeah,
first
people
place.
know about Microsoft front.
Yeah, so it's that's not going to do them no good either. I think that's just some mythical thing, but that's the next topic, so we'll get to that here in a minute. Um, but yeah, Morgan, after everything that's gone on, listening to what they've been saying, obviously you're in a very particular position, right? You are the prime suspect for the person we're talking about, right? You have the option to go PC in the future. You've never really wanted to. You are a PlayStation girl through and through. But listening to everything that's going on currently, if things remain the same, and you're not getting any concessions, you're not getting any assurances of your account in the future going into PS6, how are things looking for you?
Shit. Yeah, I was kind of talking about that the other night. Like, to be like, honestly, it's like it's all gonna depend on how PlayStation moves, right? For me
Mm-hmm.
personally, um, if they decide to come out and actually give some good direction about how they plan on, giving consumers digital protections and improvements to the PlayStation Store and refund policy and game sharing and things like that, um, then sure, I'll give it a consideration depending on what they say and how they move about it, right? But if they just continue to be silent and they announce the PSX and it's just you know uh, same plans we're going forward, like we're not really going to talk about the digital future. It's just oh you're just buying everything off the PS Store now. Like that's just kind of the plan, and there's no kind of discussion about it amongst the fans and how this will be moving forward. And it's just like they just tend to they just ignore it. Then yeah, I'll be moving to PC. I'll be playing PCs my primary gaming setup, and then PlayStation will be for first party games. It'll just be that. Because at the end of the day, like I said, I'm a gamer, and yes, I prefer PlayStation, but I'm gonna just game where uh, I get the most respect and get the most protections as a gamer. Because I'm not about to continue spending hundreds of dollars on PlayStation just to risk my account either getting hacked or my account being, taken away from me through some kind of misunderstanding, and now all my games are locked behind PlayStation and I have no access to any of my stuff, right? So
Mm-hmm.
that's just gonna be me moving forward. As far as the PlayStation's, breaking their silence with this whole situation. Um, we all knew they would have to say something eventually, right? Like it probably, and we knew it wouldn't be to us; it would be to the shareholders, right? Because
Absolutely.
again, that's who they answer to at the end of the day. Um, they decided to the CFO, decided to come out and be like, oh yeah, we heard it. We understand people have passions about this gaming, is a beloved hobby, blah 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 blah. We understand that people have, high feelings about it, but you always get to, that's how they get to you with the but. But we're gonna continue moving forward because she stated that Sony and PlayStation have thought about this for a while. They've been considering it for a while, and they went through all the considerations about it, the pros and the cons, and they just decided to go for it. And they don't have any really considerations of reversing this situation because to them it didn't really affect their financials. Now, like Weeb has already said and pointed out, obviously it's not going to affect financials because you announced this after your financial quarter had already ended, right? So the financial quarter that we're hearing about now was before the announcement. So obviously we're not going to see any kind of repercussions on this current financial statement. Um, and like they were smart to announce it the day after. And then obviously they have big IPs coming up at the end of the fall with Wolverine and Phantom Blade Zero and obviously GTA 6 that will kind of cushion the blow and kind of hide any kind of you know negative numbers on in the charts, right? And even after the announcement, right? I was talking with Kay about this the other night. Within like a week, people were obviously it wasn't the same people who are boycotting PlayStation, but still funny nonetheless that right as the announcement happened, like a week later, Activision announced the Black Ops 1 and 2 port coming to PlayStation, and that instantly went to like number one. And obviously these are digital only games, and they were like the best selling games of the week. They were on top of the charts, and so it's just like, again, the casuals are not really helping with this entire situation because the casuals are the majority of PlayStation, and they don't really care about this situation. Most of them are digital, and probably a few are physical, but at the end of the day, they probably it's like it's fine. I'll go to digital. I don't care. Um, but yeah, PlayStation's nonchalantness about this whole situation, it really wasn't surprising. Like I obviously knew that they were going to say something during their little financial meeting, but I already knew it was going to be like a cold statement of like, yeah, we heard you, but we don't care type shit. Um, PlayStation's just back on that, we're on top right now situation, and we don't need to say anything. We don't have to say anything, and we can just wait you guys out, right? We believe that the majority of you are all talk, and you will stomp your feet and you will throw a tantrum and you will get upset, but at the end of the day, you'll get over it and you'll fall in line just like everybody else, right? And I mean, they're not wrong. Most people will, because that's just how the internet works. A lot of people get upset, you know, about things, and some of them are true about it, and others are just formative about it. Um, but at the end of the day, most people will fold. It sucks, but it's the truth. Um, and then, I was telling Kay, it's just like, Phil Spencer kind of said it like um, at the beginning of the generation when he said that Xbox lost the worst generation to lose, which was the Xbox One and PS4 generation, because that's where everybody started forming their digital libraries. And that's kind of that's the bet that PlayStation is placing right now, where there are people who have spent, you know, like me, hundreds to thousands of dollars investing in their PlayStation library, their PlayStation accessories, peripherals, whether it be controllers, headsets, PlayStation Portal, right, Edge controllers, all these kind of things, right? Collector's editions, the the plates, all these kind of things, right? Invested all this money into it, and when you invest so much into a system, it's very hard to pull out of that system, right? And that's the same thing. That's the same strategy that Apple does, where you have your iPad, you have your Apple, iPhone, your Mac, your Apple Watch, all these things, and they work in tangent with each other. And yes, you can use third-party peripherals on them, but they don't work as well as the Apple devices. All the Apple devices speak to each other. They make it easy to use, and because of all these things, and because of how good they work towards together, um, that's how Apple locks you into their ecosystem, right? They're like, you could get these third party headphones, but we have these AirPods that work even better, and they'll work, seamlessly with your MacBook and your iPad and your iPhone, and it just all works better together. And so they get you to spend these hundreds and thousands of dollars in their ecosystem, and because of that, you're kind of locked in because you've bought so much into the ecosystem, and all of the products work together. They work better with other Apple products, and that's kind of the strategy. That's the strategy that PlayStation uses, where it's a very closed ecosystem, and they want you to use their products, and their products work the best with their devices. And because you spent so much money, they are betting that you will not leave, right? You spent hundreds and thousands of dollars in our ecosystem. You have a huge library of games within our ecosystem, so it's very unlikely for you to just pick up, you know, basically, wipe your hands away from it and just kind of leave, right? That's the bet they're making. And it's true that majority won't, because of that, because they've invested so much into it. It's gonna take a lot for a person to just pick up and just be like, I'm done, right? And most people can't afford to, and that's another thing that they're betting on, right? If you've got this much money invested, a lot of people can't afford to just pick up and buy a PC or buy something else, right? They're just like, well, this is where I am, so I'm kind of stuck. It sucks because corporations do take advantage of that fact, and PlayStation is definitely taking advantage of that fact. Um, the only little bit of light I see at the end of the tunnel is the one remark that the CFO made, where she said, we understand people's feelings towards physical, and why they feel strongly about it, and we have to consider the steps moving forward on how to address that. So I'm like, okay, so I guess there's hope that they're planning on doing something as far as, again, digital rights and digital protections to try to appease physical gamers, and hopefully do something to allow physical gamers to continue playing their games on PS6, whether it's adding a disk drive, or doing something similar to the rumored program that Xbox is supposedly going to do, which is the disc to digital program, where you can put your disc inside your PS5 or PS5 Pro or whatever, and transfer them to digital ownership, so that you'll be able to carry it into your you know the library onto the PS6 or whatever. That's they have to do something, right? Because it's like, well, they don't really have to do anything, but it's just going to be very weird if you know there
Okay.
people have these massive PlayStation, PS4 to PS5, physical libraries, and you just can't play them on your PS6. You're just stuck to continuously playing those games on your PS5, unless you buy them again digitally for your PS6. So it's like there's a lot of moves and considerations that PlayStation really has to make. Um, they did give, like I said, they did give themselves like a big window with this announcement, like it being a year and a half before uh the PS6, supposedly, because we don't know officially when it's going to be come out, but they have enough time to try to do something. So they should be working on doing something to address people's concerns. Because if they don't, then that's cool. Like, it's their business at the end of the day, but I'll just take my business elsewhere. So
I have a question for you, and
you
this
always have
is
a
just,
question, Omar.
yeah, I know it. It's a podcast to me. Okay, so real talk. Let's say they do have a plan. Is it not something that they could have led with? Like, all they did then would be shooting themselves in the foot, and um, what you call it, losing a lot of the support from the people that had faith in them.
I mean,
Like
if
it,
they're, I mean, okay. So the plan, if there is a plan, it will be around PS6, and they haven't announced PS6, so that would be the only reason I would think that they
yeah, but
haven't disclosed the plan, because you can't really talk about what you're about to do with the next generation if you haven't announced the next generation.
I get that on that end. So then, why even uh, let people know right now? Wait until next generation to inform everything all at once, so you can give them the bad news, but also the good news at the same time to combat each other. Because right
Because
now, all the
they're already doing the plans of changing all their factories from you know
yeah, I read
distributing
that to
physical,
AI
well,
and stuff like that.
yes, but
Yeah,
that's my point. That's why they're not waiting. Because why would they change the factories now? People have questions like, okay, why are you closing down these factories? But then they don't announce anything until a year and a half later. That doesn't really make sense.
And
Yeah,
and
that's it.
like I said, GTA 6, that's the perfect opportunity to do it because you can just hide behind that
Mm,
if there's a financial consequence of your decision.
yep.
Yep.
And you don't you and announcing it right before PS6 would negatively affect their PS6 sales, and they know that. Like
Yeah.
saying like, "Oh, here's a PS6. By the way, there's no physical." Like, what do you think that's gonna do? That's going to immediately affect their sales for PS6, and have a similar situation with Xbox One, where everybody was like, "Fuck this, I'm going over to PlayStation," and they don't want that, so that's why they didn't do that,
Yep.
It's gonna be interesting to
because
see
they
if they're
know
gonna do
by the
anything.
time, if it's, if you tell somebody bad news a year in advance, by the time it comes around, people aren't as upset anymore, right? You give people time to like blow, get all upset, like I said, throw a hissy fit, throw a tantrum, and then it's a year later and people don't really care anymore.
Exactly. Yeah, it's a very time heals all wounds kind of thing.
Yep.
But yeah, uh, Omar, obviously this is gonna heavily affect you, who likes to go out and get things in the secondhand market, uh, likes Facebook Marketplace and all these other things. So, after seeing the double down, knowing that's coming, how are you feeling about the upcoming generation for PlayStation for yourself?
So yeah, clearly I'm upset about it, but and as you guys have heard, literally at the beginning of the podcast, I just bought Dragon Dogma, to which was physical. I also bought Outlaw physical. I bought Rise of the Ronin physical. So clearly I'm going physical, but I'm looking at it like it's not to say a lost cause, but a lost battle. It's like I don't see any end of the tunnel, if that make any sense. And I'm not being performative about it like the people that are literally not gonna play game for a week to get at PlayStation. Like that's just performative. I'm not gonna do that. But what I would say is the only way that you could hurt them, hurt them truly, is by not buying GTA, by not buying Wolverine, by not buying any of these games. And I don't think a lot of people are going to do that. Look what they announced, Lafay release date. I know for a fact everyone and their mother are gonna play Lafay. And you can play it on PC, so there is no even an option to wait a few years for it to come to PC. They killed that option. So the only way you can play their games is on PlayStation, which is not gonna lie, genius marketing. So yeah, our hands are absolutely tied. And no offense, Wib, but what you said
Offense taken.
about PC is so easy to get into, and you start a new game. Like now, optimization is a bitch and a half,
Well,
especially
there's always exceptions, though.
especially if you're not into PC or you have no knowledge of PC like that. Like
Yeah, but the look, sure, if you're really not into that, but it doesn't take much. Like, I literally just when I got it, I installed Windows. Sure, I had some troubleshooting because of some stupid Windows stuff, but I mean that's just setting up your like if you're setting up your console the
if
first
you're
time,
setting up
it's
your
also
PC, giving you troubleshooting, it's over.
sorry.
If you are a person that have knowledge about PC and you're setting up your PC and you're getting troubleshooting, it's over. The people like me that have zero knowledge about PC, and when I say zero knowledge, I'm talking about the tech part, the way to optimize your games. Like,
Yeah,
nah,
but that's just because
I,
you refuse to look it up, though, Omar.
no, it's not that I have to look up. A lot of time, it's difficult to look up the issue that you're having.
I mean,
No.
to
I've
be
been
Yeah,
fair,
telling you that,
most of
okay,
your
this,
issues, Omar, have been 100% self-inflicted. So I'm gonna be
no, it's
honest.
not. It was not self-inflicted. It was
I,
luck.
I wanted to be nice,
Okay.
but
Like,
Because
I'm about to say they've been absolutely
I would not
self-inflicted.
have, I would not even touch optimization. And I'm like, and all I saw is my my game is doing frames on its own. I'm like, but I literally followed innate word for word. So that's why one for me the whole how easy it is to go into PC. Like no,
look,
especially if,
the difference with PC is that there's an open platform, so there is no standard PC. Like, not with consoles. You basically every PS5 is essentially the same.
yeah, you plug
There,
in and play, but with PC, no, you need to understand your PC.
well, not that's the thing. I think there's a lot of people who have PCs who don't really are very tech savvy and just have it to play games. And there's nothing wrong with that, because if you have a gaming PC, that's the primary use case for for getting that device. But it's not as complicated as people make it out to be. I mean, it is. You have more options, but like I
No,
just
I never said
today
not.
I installed Cyberpunk. There was nothing to it. Like when I started up, the only thing that asked me, "Hey, do you want to link your CDPR account so you can maybe transfer your save games?" And that's it. Like, you start up the game, you get the same questions you have on the PlayStation. What do you want to change some settings, and you have a little bit more options with with your graphics set. Like there's so many options just for ray tracing alone, but like it already has like a default recommended setup, and you can just, if that's fine for you, that's fine for you, and it's always going to look better
exactly.
than on your PlayStation. And if you want to, like, I have a 5090, so I do like to just put everything on maximum, because like that's what I bought it for. Like, it should be able to run that, and it does, and that's the option you have. So I don't see it as being a challenge. Like, and again, like the having
I don't think. Okay, so I think it's because you don't see it because you have the knowledge for it.
I mean,
But
I'm
if
gonna be honest with you, Omar. I have helped
I'm gonna tell you
brand
right
new
now,
people.
Omar. If I get this PC and I can figure it out, I'm gonna come through this damn podcast and slap the shit out of you. Cause I'm gonna be like, bro, this shit easy. What are you talking about?
Yeah,
okay,
like I have helped brand new people get on the PC that have had less issues than you, Omar. Like I think you don't want to use yourself as the litmus test. Like, you are by far the person I have seen struggle with PC the most. Like,
because
it's not a
there
good
is
litmus test.
no clear, not really. There is like even when I followed your setting bar for bar, it still gave me issue. Like remember, I couldn't play Flintlock because you told me the game is experiencing issue and there was no fix for it. There was no point in downloading the game.
That's not what I'm talking about though. A game, you can have games, you just having a bunch of crashes right now on
Yeah,
Yeah.
the
I,
game
Like
that
I
you're
said,
I
that
playing
that
on
was a game
PlayStation.
problem, not a PC problem, though.
Yeah, that's not a PC issue. Yeah,
That was
that's
just a
their
that's
fault.
game
a,
fucking up.
that's a dev issue. Yeah, I get that. I get that when it's a dev issue and when it's a PC issue. Another game I have to drop because my what you call it. I was playing. It was playing normal up until the game literally was starting losing frames. So what I became, and I'm not talking about that keeper game. I'm talking about another game.
But again, the very minuscule issues that you've had by comparison, right, that weren't self-inflicted is just as bad as anything you've ran into on PlayStation with crashes and bugs and all kinds of issues. Except on PlayStation, you have no way to fix them. Like you're just screwed. So until further notice. So if
Until
you
they release an update, but on PC
exactly,
you
but on
can do some
PC
stuff.
on PC
You can
they fix
troubleshoot it.
yeah, you could troubleshoot it. The community comes up with patches a lot of times before the dev even comes up with patches. So again, and they're easily implemented. I explained to Morgan when not Kiln, but the freaking Keeper came out, and uh Tim Schafer's company, I can't remember right now, Double Fine,
Oh,
cried.
fine.
Yeah, they cried up, down, left, right, and center about how they didn't want to support ultra wide. Well, I don't really care what their reason is for not supporting ultra wide. I have an ultra wide monitor. I want to play an ultra wide, and because it's on Unreal, the patch, which is an INI file, meaning it's just a file that you take, you drag, you drop, and you put it in your game folder, and magically, guess what? I had in about zero point 0.5 seconds, I had ultra wide support by just dragging a file into the place where I installed the game, and I was good to go. Like that type of stuff exists on PC, and it's not hard to implement. I'm not going to tell you there's not stuff that you can go neck deep, right? PC is a thing that will allow you to get into as much trouble as you want to get into, right? It's like a manual car versus an automatic, right?
Yeah.
Like if you got the skills and you can drive a manual, you can often outdrive an automatic, right? But you can also screw it up, grind the gears. You can, burn out the clutch, do all this crazy stuff if you don't know what you're doing in about 5 seconds. But it
The
does,
the
yeah,
the, the interesting thing as we went with PC is that like if a game is broken on console, which let's be honest, despite quality control, there have been games that are yeah just run shit and have never been fixed.
absolutely,
And on PC, even if the developer doesn't release a fix, you can still fix the game. There are still like you did with the ini file, but they're fan patches. Like famously, Vampire the Masquerade Bloodlines. Like that game is unplayable unless you have the fan patch, and then it's one of the greatest RPGs ever made. And that's
hmm
possible because it's on PC, because people can just make patches for games for in their own spare time that just make the game run.
Gotcha. Yeah, no,
yeah.
okay.
So
Going back to
again,
the
I'm not
PlayStation.
telling you that it's not a thing, but I'm telling you PC is only as dangerous as you let it be. I'm not saying you can't run into issues, but you could run into issues as much as you run into issues on console,
Yeah.
where people have had, their wish lists haven't been loading for months. Again, nothing you can do about it. Like people have had crashes on certain
Yeah, my wish
things.
list is still fucked up.
Yeah, see? And that's what I'm saying. Like there's nothing you can really do about that. And there's been a couple other issues. Yeah, I mean, if you search up issues on PlayStation and Xbox, you can find a ton of issues that people. I just had to fix my neighbor's PlayStation just the other day because it went into some fit in some crazy thing for nothing that was his fault. It's just something that the operating system and things do that happens. And there was a sequence of events that I had to go through in order to fix it. And he never would have been the wiser. He would have ultimately probably just bought another PlayStation, if I'm telling you the truth, because it was that messed up. But I have the troubleshooting knowledge to understand the steps to take before drastically going back to reformatting entirely and all these other things. And there was, and you know what I did? I did what Morgan just told you. I looked it up. I looked up a bunch of people. I looked up a bunch of responses underneath a YouTube post, not even the YouTube video itself. Hey, did this work? No, that didn't work for me. No, this didn't work for me. I did this. I did that. And then finally, through process of elimination, I got to the fix that worked, tested it, then turned around and blew out the machine, cleaned it out, and gave it back to him. But that's what I'm saying. So even on console, you can still run into a myriad of issues that you can't just fix without troubleshooting. So that's what I'm saying. Like, yeah, back in the day, maybe, Sega, NES, yeah, plenty of those are still running to this day, right? But even now, people are finding out with retro gaming, with a lot of that stuff, you got to open up some of these devices and realize you got to replace the battery in them because the battery has run out over time. And people didn't know that at first. Why? Because it didn't matter. Because it lasted 10, 15 years or whatever, right? So there's always something you can run into. The reason I say your stuff was largely self-inflicted, and this is why I say, honestly, I don't really think Morgan will have any problem using a PC, because number one, Morgan's going to use a PC exactly as I tell her to, and she's not going to do nothing crazy while I'm not there. And if she wanted to do something crazy, she would just tell me. But so
Dude,
I'm confident that she's going to do that.
Nah, we're gonna talk about that about
You say that, but then Omar, I remember that one time when your ass had like accidentally recorded like hundreds of hours worth of footage.
I had
because
no idea I was doing that.
Yeah, you had. That's the thing, Omar. You never have no fucking idea you doing that shit. That's what kills me. I'm like, bro, how the hell you sit there and record hundreds of hours of fucking footage? You sitting there. I don't know why my storage is gone, bro.
And
I'm just like,
that's the thing.
Omar, you be doing some of the dumbest shit, bro.
Literally the point that I was making when the PlayStation was PlayStation is so easy to record.
It's so easy, and Omar can use it.
But it was easy in that it was easy, and that's why you did it.
You recording something, it didn't stop recording, and then was confused why it was still recording.
And I thought I clicked on stop recording.
Yeah, you thought, Omar.
I followed the shortcut verbatim.
I mean, you say that, right? But there is a visual representation on screen when it's recording.
I wonder what that means.
I mean, I believe that you believe there was nothing. I'm just telling you that recording with what you recorded with, which is the Windows game bar, is what you recorded with. Yeah. There is a visual icon on the screen. It's a small one, and it's red, but it's there.
I know which one it is, but I'm pretty sure. I'm pretty
sure. Omar, you probably saw it and didn't think anything of it. You were just like,
no. Look, I have played. This happened one time. When I say one time,
Omar, bro, come on, man. You be making some of the dumbest mistakes, man.
Because I have no fucking knowledge about PC
But that was self-inflicted, which is why I say they are typically self-inflicted. I'm saying PC will allow you. What I'm saying is, yes, PC will allow you to, like I said, PC is the manual driver in the situation, right? Just like I said, in the manual car, you can grind the gears, you can mess up the clutch, you could do all these bad things, but if you could drive the hell out of it, you could outdrive the automatic. So, and if you drive it like you were supposed to, you'll be good. But it'll allow you to make certain mistakes that, consoles have a safeguard for. Like, your PlayStation is not going to go to zero gigabytes. Like, it has a threshold where it has stuff set aside where it's like, hey, this is what I need, and I'll never let you go below that, and it'll just give you a warning, and it'll stop the download if you're not paying attention and you're like, oh, I don't have enough space for that. And then you'll just make space for that. But in your case, like, you had done something that you didn't realize you did, and you didn't know how to look for it on your system. Now, I'm not saying it wasn't an honest mistake. It was, but it was still self-inflicted. That's all I'm saying. And there's other little things that I've taught you over time that are more advanced. The way I teach you how to get certain games and some of the other stuff, all of that stuff is pretty advanced. The only reason it's easy for you is because the way that I set it up.
Trust me, I'm fully aware of that.
Yeah, but most people, but that stuff is extra. That's why I said most people who get on PC, you install Steam, and honestly, half the stuff now will auto, even if you install NVIDIA will auto prompt you when there is an NVIDIA update, you literally can hit auto detect, launch Steam. Hell, you can launch Steam in big picture mode, and there's even an update within Steam that will update your drivers for you. I don't do that, but I'm saying if you use it in the most basic form to play games, which is how a lot of these newfound PC gamers are, which is why they don't really run into too many issues, they will ultimately have very little problems, right? Not they'll have none, but they'll have very little. So that's what I'm saying. PC is a much more viable platform for, even beginner or, beginner users than it's ever been. So very plug and play, very much like that. As long as you're doing just regular schmegular, doing the same thing that you do on your PC. What gets people in trouble is when they see something really cool on the internet and they go, oh, I want to do that thing that one person did. And then I want to go to GitHub, and then I want to go over here, and then I want to grab this code, and then I want to go over here, and I want to do reshade, and I want to add this mod, and then they start messing with stuff. That's where people get in trouble, because now you stop acting like you a console gamer, and you start thinking you could do all the advanced stuff. That, not you, I'm just saying, that's where PC allows you, that's where PC allows you to be dangerous. Like, PC will let you be dangerous if you want to be. But that's why I said I have confidence that Morgan, when I have a problem, because when I will give Morgan the five rules, and Morgan, I have trust that Morgan will always check these things. Okay. Yes, there's certain things to look at, and I trust that you can look at them like a normal person.
I'm mods on top of mods. I'm fucking my shit up.
I'm fucking my shit up. You ain't doing nothing. But but these are general rules for interacting with a computer in general, right? And I know Morgan has like a MacBook Pro and some other stuff. Like, if you have like the stuff that I do for work now, the drives can fill any of the hard drives or SSDs at any given time frame, and there's nothing to stop them from doing that. But as a technician, I have to know, hey, this is no longer making any data. This is no longer sending any video or photo footage. What's wrong with it? My first thing, I'm going to go look to see if the drive is full. It's not supposed to be full, but process of elimination and dealing with a PC tells me that's where I need to start. That's what I'm saying. That's the kind of stuff you build up over time, where you learn to look for that stuff and the few little mistakes that will happen. And like I said, it'll be just as much or just as little as the problems and the issues you deal with on consoles, except like we've said, a lot of times you can fix it, right? Like, I would never buy the Spacer's Choice Edition of I forget what it's called, but from the Obsidian game, but this
Outer Worlds too.
Outer Worlds, but the original. So the original Outer Worlds is broken. The Spacer's Choice Edition, it was done by a third party who ported it, and they never fixed it. It's a mess. It runs like crap. It has like a memory leak and all this other stuff. So I would only ever play that game on PC because it's a broken mess on PlayStation 5. And like, there's nothing I can do about it. Like, it doesn't matter how bad I want to play it. I already know it's going to play like trash, and it's eventually going to crash and crash and crash with the memory leak. And they're not, at this point, they're obviously not going to fix it. And then there was other issues that ran in that kind of stemmed over from that into even part 2, which is again why I wouldn't purchase that on there either. So they clearly have an issue porting the PlayStation, but again, there's no fix for that. So again, not saying it's bad all the way, but yeah, it's simple, but if you ever run into an issue, there's nothing you can really do about it. As opposed to PC, or having at least the option of PC, which is what I'm telling you that PlayStation is underestimating, is when people have the option of PC, that is when things will change, and when people will realize, hey, the majority of what I want to do, I don't have to. And that's not just happening there, right? It doesn't even have to be PC. We have, just in the group chat I'm in alone, one of the guys already got rid of his PS5 Pro. He's been on PC, and he already has an Xbox, and he traded in his PS5 Pro and got a Switch too. And he's been playing Donkey Kong, and he's having fun, and he's good. And he's like, you know what? I'm good. He personally doesn't think the exclusives that PlayStation has left are compelling enough. Maybe that'll change in the future. But as of right now, he's a zero sum customer. Like, he left the building entirely. Uh, Several of them, the rest of them in chat, are very minimal in that as well. McQuack's been going out of his way to go on either, Switch 2, because of, the way his mobile situation is, or even purchasing some titles that he would have purchased on PlayStation, going out of his way to purchase them, or DLC on, his Xbox. So that's what I'm saying. Like, people are expressing their options. And like I said, they don't have to leave entirely. Because, like I said, I don't agree with leaving entirely like that person did. But like Morgan said, Weeb is technically a whale in the mobile gaming world, as they like to say it, right? Like, Weeb spends, hundreds to thousands per year purchasing games on PlayStation. Like I said, between in my household, I've spent over $10,000 on PlayStation from the PS4 to PS5 generation, like including all of the controllers we've bought, the PSVR 1, the PSVR 2, having like 3 PlayStations, 2 PS4 Pros, like I've ran the gamut. So going from all that to, if ultimately, like I said, they don't answer the issues, and several people like me even don't even leave the platform entirely, but pick up a PS6 and now treat it like an exclusive box, and let's say their exclusive cadence remains what it's been this generation, how much of a decline in revenue do you think that's going to be for me? Like, significantly, including, I have some of my stuff, like I play Fortnite still, and my crew goes through PlayStation, and I do that on purpose because I like the way PlayStation invests, the money that they get from those things into new games, right? But if ultimately I'm moving all my third party platforms and stuff like that, and anything I play third party, those microtransactions, those third party sales, all that stuff, anything I invest in outside the platform no longer goes to PlayStation. And as you've seen on their financial revenue breakdown, that is their biggest section besides accessories, which also, guess what? If I'm also not investing in the platform that heavily, well, I'm probably just going to have a single controller and not invest that way. Like, just this generation alone, I think we have 10 controllers, probably 8. Probably 8 controllers and two edge controllers. Then my nieces and nephews alone, there's 4 of them. They each have their own controller, and they've at least gotten a second one. So that's 8 more controllers. Again, this is just the people I'm talking about, and I just told you about
Your
thousands of dollars.
ecosystem is on PlayStation. I get that. I totally get that. And when you move away from it, you take your people with it. I get that point. It's gonna be a wait and see to see if PlayStation got hurt by it. Either it's gonna be a genius move from them and find a middle ground, or it's gonna be one of the worst decisions in their history. It's gonna be interesting to see. One thing I will say is for the people that were hating on Jim Ryan, where you at? Because this person is not better than Jim Ryan whatsoever. And I totally get it. It's not Jim Ryan that's dictating higher up.
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of weird moves and stuff PlayStation is doing. Like I said, I mean, we've talked about the lack of communication, the soulless form of communication on top of that. When they do finally communicate, like there's a lot of weird stuff that they're doing on top of all the mistakes that they made, which, like I said, are not amplified as much because their main competition this generation, at least, being Xbox just kept covering for them. Like, you were the bad kid. You snuck out. You snuck out, but your brother snuck out and got arrested. Like, who's gonna get in trouble more from your parents? Well, you snuck out, but you just came home and nothing happened. But your brother came home in handcuffs. Well, he's in a lot more trouble than you are. You see?
Yep.
So now it minimized the fact that you snuck out because your brother also snuck out but got in way more trouble. That's basically been the dynamic between PlayStation and Xbox this entire generation. which has honestly been hilarious.
Yeah.
Um, but yeah, I mean, like you said, we'll see what happens. It's not going to happen overnight. As Hero and stuff said earlier, Rome wasn't built in a day and it didn't fall in a day. It's going to take time. But it doesn't mean the effects don't start showing up. The problem is how long until you notice, right? Like, think about it, right? Like, if somebody keyed your car, right, every day for a year, but they only did it in like a centimeter, right, or a millimeter per day, and they did it on the back left bumper or something, right, somewhere where you never look, and it's super small, right? Matter of fact, they did it once per week. That would be so small and so minuscule, right? For you to eventually notice. Like, it would take a while for you to notice, but it doesn't mean the damage isn't accumulating and the damage isn't occurring. It's just the amount of time it's taking you to see it or to notice the damage is extended because of the minimal way that it's happening over time. But it's still the same as them keying your car across, the entire way. If they did it one time, it's just they decided to do it a little by little and see how long it took you to notice. So yeah, damage done is damage done, whether it's damage over time or one hit. So that's the more gamer reference. Dot damage can hurt just as much as one hit. So, but yeah, moving to our next topic here. Um, Xbox is expected to forego Steam for their next generation console. Um, this was something that was widely speculated and at least highly praised by the Xbox delegation all over Twitter, YouTube, and so on, about how wonderful it was going to be. You were going to get Steam, you were going to get all the Xbox games, and be able to play all these Steam games and emulation and all these things. It was super lauded, right, for a very long time. Now it's alleged that that's not going to happen at all, as well as to the point where it looks like Xbox is supposedly considering pulling out of Steam entirely for the next generation. Whether or not that actually happens, I mean, who knows? Like we said, that sounds like career suicide. Um, but also, to note, in other Xbox news tied in with all this, Xbox also announced, being able to access Xbox on Hisense TVs and some other platform I've honestly never heard of in my life. I'm assuming it's something in another country, like ABBA TV or something like that. I don't know. I've literally never heard of that. But, basically alluding to the fact that what we've said for a long time is that the everything is an Xbox phrasing, while that was removed, that campaign, the everything is an Xbox thing had never actually went away. Like, they've never foregone the actual implementation of what that did. So yeah, that was another funny thing that actually factually happened. That isn't a rumor. Asha announced that herself, which was pretty funny to watch the reactions to that. Um, but yeah,
I mean, we said at day one that's gonna be one of the worst uh, choice to say everything is an Xbox.
I mean, I personally didn't care. I mean, it didn't matter to me, but the point is removing the phrasing, or the campaign internally didn't stop what it was actually doing. Like, it's still being deployed on TVs. It's still being deployed all over the place. Everything is an Xbox was literally just a slogan that went along with that, which, Sarah Bond was told to come up with. And then they removed the slogan, but they still just kept performing the strategy. So essentially nothing changed, but, removing the phrasing for the campaign got a bunch of praises, while they ultimately didn't stop doing it anyway, which is pretty hilarious. Um, but yeah, like I said, this one isn't so much to delve in on, but it is kind of funny because, you know, the Xbox delegation was pretty excited, like I said, about Steam and very gung ho about it, and now everybody's talking about how bad of an idea having Steam on the Xbox platform would be, and how it wouldn't benefit them, and PlayStation
It's
no
a
longer
chip.
on
Eh?
there.
They follow the people blindly.
Yeah, I mean, usually when one says it, they all say it. I'm pretty sure they have meetings about this, based on the way that they all changed their mind in the same week. So that makes sense there. But I know this was something that me and Morgan were laughing about pretty heavily after all that spite, including um,
Kinda the whole exclusive don't matter only for now. We want everything to be exclusive. It's funny. It clearly is funny.
yeah. I mean, it all changed on a whim. Um, Dustin Liguri, I guess, also admitting that he purposely you know kept using all the PlayStation games on his Xbox ROG Ally, and every time he talked about Steam and stuff to try to make it basically because he thought it was funny, which is what we said. And he's basically a little kid in the way that he deals with stuff, and we laugh because along with him and many of the others, they stated there was nothing PlayStation could do. They can't remove their games from Steam and blah blah. And then PlayStation, just said, okay, we'll no longer put any of our single player tentpole titles anywhere else ever again. And then they just stopped that.
Pikachu face from Delton.
Yeah, so it's all been pretty funny to watch. Morgan, what what's your take on hearing about obviously the lack of Steam after we talked about how bad of an idea it was to begin with, seeing the uptake from the Xbox delegation and the fact that this rumor is now flying. What's your takeaway from this?
Yeah, I mean, it's currently a rumor, but I mean, I've been questioning the whole strategy from day one. Like, that was literally the first question that I remember asking Nate when the whole rumor started that Helix was going to be this PC hybrid and you can have Steam and Epic and all these other stores. And I was like, that doesn't even make sense. Like, you're going to put competing storefronts on your own console. You're going to take money away from your own storefront by putting a better storefront on there. So you don't want people to buy from Xbox, you want people to buy from Steam where you don't make any money. So if I get this Helix and I buy The Witcher 4 on there, 70% of that money that I spent to buy The Witcher 4 is going to go to CD Projekt Red. The other 30% is going to go to Steam. Xbox doesn't get any money from me buying a third-party game on Steam. So it didn't make sense when the majority of the money that these console makers, PlayStation, Xbox, Nintendo, the majority of the money they make is on their storefront. So why would you be like directing traffic to a completely different storefront, and not just any different storefront, but the storefront that is considered one of the best in gaming? I was just like, I don't know how that makes any financial sense. Um, yeah, it always confused me because I was like, the math isn't mathing, the money isn't adding up.
It really wasn't.
Um, I'm like, I don't see how
But
Xbox
we
gets
were
any
told to
money
shut
from
up.
this.
We were told to shut
Yeah.
up, and that
And I kept asking
they
that
would figure
question,
it
and
out.
yeah, people tell me, "Oh, it'll work out. It's fine. It'll shut up." Like, I'm like, "What you mean it'll work out? The fuck are you talking about? It makes no sense." Like, I'm not against the idea of Xbox wanting Steam on their console. I mean, as far as a consumer, that sounds great, right? If you're a consumer, that sounds like a great thing for you, right? You're gonna have a great storefront on your console. I'm just talking about from the position of the actual manufacturer. And no, I don't give a fuck about Microsoft's pockets, but at the end of the day, you have to, you know, y'all are putting y'all hopes and dreams on something that was not really reasonable. Like, oh yeah, like, yeah, I could put on my Christmas list that I want a unicorn, but I think that's kind of unreasonable to expect my parents to deliver that to me on Christmas. Like, and I don't think that's me being a terrible child by being like, oh well, I gotta lower my expectations because I'm definitely not getting a uniform for Christmas. So, that's not my problem. No, no, I have to set my expectations up accordingly to what is viable, and that's why I was like, it didn't seem like a viable plan to put Steam on the Xbox. Now they may end up doing it. Who knows? I'm again but if they do, it's going to be through some kind of deal. I guess they worked out because other people, when I asked the question about how that makes sense, they were like, "Oh, well, Steam might cut Xbox a deal." I'm like, why the hell would Steam do that though? So if again the example of The Witcher 4, if I pay $70 or $60 or whatever for that on Steam, the majority of that percentage goes to CD Projekt Red, and then Steam gets the leftovers. You're telling me Steam would be okay with sharing that leftover with Xbox? Like, oh, instead of getting 30%, we'll split it in half, and we'll get 50%. As Steam, we'll get 15%, and Xbox will give you 15%. For what though? Why would they do that? What is the incentive for them to take a lower percentage to include Xbox in? And people were like, well, don't they want all these other gamers? I'm like, how many people do y'all are y'all assuming are buying the Helix? Like, I think people are have this weird mentality that a Helix is going to sell like 30, 40, 50 million. Like, they'll be lucky if they hit 20 million with the Helix. Xbox has been nothing but going down rapidly by half every generation. I think
Mm-hmm.
the high end for what you can expect on a good generation for Helix is 15 to 20 million.
Yeah, I was gonna say
And I don't
15,
think
20.
Steam gives a fuck
I think they're
about those.
reaching 10. I think they're gonna reach 10 million,
Yeah, and
especially
I'm
with
like, I
Helix
don't think
price.
Steam gives a fuck about whether or not they get that 15, 20 million. They're good. They don't need that. Xbox needs them. They don't need Xbox. So I'm confused as to where people thought that, oh, Steam would be happy to cut them in. For what? Like,
Exactly.
if you want to access their store, they're like, there's plenty of ways to do it. You don't need to get a Helix. If you want to be a customer and you want to come to Steam, go get a PC, go get this, go get that. Like, there's plenty of ways to access Steam that aren't, again, not a fucking Helix. So yeah, and we already know Steam is already trying to push into Microsoft's territory with with their own OS,
Oh
Beam
yeah, Steam
OS.
OS is
That's
making some
direct
headway.
competition to Microsoft's Windows, right? And they've kind of stamped their flag on that. That's what they're doing. Like, I mean, they haven't said it directly, but it's pretty obvious that they're they're cutting in on Microsoft's territory right there. So I don't think they have any plans on trying to be nice with Xbox and include them in on their cut. Like, no. Um. So yeah.
Why
Again,
would they? Steam doesn't need
I
Xbox.
mean that's what
Xbox
I said.
needs them. Yeah,
Um.
it's funny.
It's it's weird. It's just like I asked this question from the moment this rumor started, and but everybody wanted to be off in La La Land, being like, "This makes so much sense." Oh my God, yes, because they were, blindsided by the idea of the main thing which they wanted, which was the PlayStation games, the games that they swear are overrated and they don't like, and they don't have that many anyway. But
Oh yeah,
apparently
whole
that was a
slate.
main drive. Yeah, that was the main drive. The hashtag whole slate. That was the main campaign for wanting Helix to be this PC hybrid, right? It was because we can now access PlayStation games, right? And PlayStation pulling back on PC kind of deflated their balloon on that idea. Like, I saw a lot of people who were really hype about the idea of Helix all of a sudden not give a shit anymore once PlayStation, you know, kind of cut PC off unless it's a live service game. Now they're, you know, and that was one of the bullet points in the Windows Central article was about how about the idea of Helix having Steam. One of the one of the fucking bullet points was like, well, it's not gonna have PlayStation anymore, so oh man, that sucks. I'm like, so that was a big driver for you. Like, if you're a yeah, a Xbox only player, why the hell do you give a shit about PlayStation games? Why is that a bullet
Right?
point on one of the negatives of losing Steam? Like, again, but then you got, again, like you said, Destin Gary, like when he got his ROG Ally X, the only games that he was testing in his little video about it were PlayStation games. He was testing Spider-Man, he
Oh,
was testing God
wow.
of War, he was testing Ratchet and Clank. Those were the games he decided to test, right? Because again, they,
But
these
why? Why would he do
Console,
that?
console was because
yeah,
console was
it's
shelved.
that's what it is. It's
That's
all
why.
about that. And then that when that incentive was gone, like they like it, again, it kind of popped their whole bubble, right? They were just like, well, I mean, I guess, and then they resort to saying, well, all PlayStation's best games are on Steam, so it doesn't matter. I'm like, bro, if that's the case, if that's what you believe is true, there's no way you haven't played those games already. Like, these games
Exactly.
came out 10 plus years ago. You're telling me that you're waiting until Helix comes to finally play God of War 2018? Like, is that's what you're telling me? Like, let's not lie to ourselves. Like, not like all these Xbox fans don't already own PS5s and have already played all these games already. Like, it's but again, if the Helix comes and it's a PC and then they have Steam, they will boot up the games again and pretend like it's the first time they're playing it and be so wowed by it just for the console war, right? But it's whatever. But again, this whole Steam idea was dumb to me because I'm like, it always seemed to me that Microsoft wanted to get away from Steam, right? And even before this this article and all these things. I always thought that. I was just like, it doesn't make sense to be this reliant on a third party storefront where you're not really getting the biggest cut. Like obviously they need PCs like the only thing, especially if they're planning on going quote unquote exclusive, which is it in Xbox terms, it just means not on PlayStation. Um, they're gonna need PC more than ever, right? PC has 10 times the player base Xbox does. They're the ones that are more willing to pay for games. They're the ones that they're keeping this shit afloat over there. They're the people that are keeping the lights on at Xbox. Let's be real. Um, so they need them, but they want them to come to their store, right? The Microsoft store. It's the same strategy that PlayStation has right now, except Xbox also has a PC storefront too. So they want you in their Xbox store and they want you in their Xbox PC store. So it's like I know that they've been wanting to wean off of Steam and kind of funnel everybody to the Xbox PC store, but that's a hard battle to fight, and that's going to be a very uphill battle. One because of how great Steam is and how they really have the loyalty of the vast majority of PC gamers, but also how terrible the Xbox PC store is. Like, there's a lot of work that needs to be done with the Xbox PC store to get it anywhere near as close to Steam. Like
Absolutely.
there's just too much crap with, especially with Windows 11 and everything like that. There's just too much bullshit, and I'm like, that's the biggest hurdle that Xbox is gonna have to face when it comes to their PC endeavors, is getting Windows into a more gamer friendly position, because right now it's not. And there's also the big problem of Steam having the majority of games, and the Xbox PC store not having a lot of the games that Steam has,
You're missing a
right? And
ton of
Steam
them.
has a lot of, yeah, and it's because of how easy it is to develop for and get approved for Steam, versus other storefronts, which is why a lot of the times, even when it comes to a lot of games, especially from indies, that they decide to just make it a Steam exclusive, right? Or it's exclusive to PC and it's not even coming to console or anything like that. It's just because of how you know there's so much red tape to get approved for PlayStation and Xbox, and Steam allows a lot easier integration into their system. So that's why a lot of games tend to come to Steam and Steam first, if ever, if they ever come to anywhere else. But they're always on Steam because of how easy it is to get your stuff approved. And that's why I think it was a big bullet point for Xbox during their developer conference, when they were talking about how one of their major improvements that they were looking to do for Helix was to make it to cut down the red tape when it comes to getting your game approved. There's just too many um gates that you have to go through in order to get approved for Xbox. And we even saw that with Asha's statement, like a couple weeks ago, where she was saying there was like you had to go through like 30 people or something to get shit approved, and for the games on
Oh
Xbox.
yeah, that was
It's even
insane
worse.
when that came out.
Yeah, it's even worse on fucking PC. So they're trying to get rid of that so that the Xbox store, the PC store, can look, it can be more lucrative and look in the library can look a lot more like Steam, right? They can have a lot more games because people will find it easy to, put their games on Xbox PC, and that's what they want. They want to get their storefront like Steam, but
Absolutely,
again,
as they should.
it's going to take a lot of work because there's a lot of bullshit in Windows that just makes shit hard. A lot of extra code that just doesn't need to be there, that just fucks shit up. And I
Oh
don't
yeah.
know if they can get Windows to a point where it's just like, at least the Xbox PC version of Windows, to a point where it's just, okay, we're gonna trim this down to just be the gaming essential stuff, the gaming essential code. I don't know if they can do it. They said, there's like
I'm gonna
I've
be
watched a
honest.
lot of
They
videos.
don't want to do it. Not
Yeah, that's what I'm
really.
saying. That's another thing. Microsoft doesn't want to do it either, right? Because they're this all-in-one incumbent. They believe in being this all-in-one incumbent kind of company where, oh, Windows is great for everything, in business, in personal, in gaming, and all that stuff, and they don't
Well,
want to trim
not
shit
to
down.
mention they're running a bunch of telematics in the background.
Oh yeah.
on your data that they want to
Yeah,
keep
I say get
running.
all your information and things like that. Yeah,
Hmm.
and even the ROG Ally X, which is supposed to be meant for gaming, has all this bullshit on it too, where you can be. It has I was watching somebody who was turning it on for the first time and
Hmm.
booting it up, and there's just all this
It's a
bullshit. Like
lot.
there's teams that are downloading. I'm like, why the fuck is Teams on here? Like like
Exactly.
window like the fucking Microsoft Office. I'm like, I don't need any of that shit. Just boot up the gaming shit. Why are you putting all the business crap on there? I don't like if I want that extra, that's great that it's available if I want it, but that shouldn't be the default that it's downloaded
Yeah,
on the
all that
ROG
stuff
Ally
should
when I
not be
first boot it up.
installing.
Like if I want to download Teams for whatever fucking reason, I'll just do it later. Like I don't want that shit on boot up. But it's like all this shit got to be downloaded before you could get to actual gaming, and it's just it doesn't really make sense. And as I'm saying, I don't know if Xbox can get it down to the point where it's just again just the gaming essential part of the Windows PC. So yeah, they have a very uphill battle to fight, and that's why they're not moving in on Steam right now. Is because Windows isn't ready. Windows
Yeah,
is not at the
they're not.
point where it's ready to fight against Steam. So they're gonna keep releasing games on Steam for now. Um, I don't know if Windows PC will be ready in time for the Helix launch because that's only what a year and a half away. I think that's being very hopeful that they'll cut off Steam at the launch of the Helix. I doubt that very much. Um,
The crazy
but
thing
it's gonna be
is,
hard.
as they're not really making any progress yet, Steam OS and
Yeah,
Bazite,
SteamOS is going crazy.
which is another version of Linux that's really user friendly, both of those are gaining like immense steam in user
Oh
friendly
my god.
support. Yeah, right. I didn't mean to do that, but 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 they are though. Like I literally, it wasn't intentional. Like I forgot we were even doing this, but my coworker was asking me because he has a PC, he has a PS5 Pro, and he was asking me, what did I think about Steam OS and whatnot, and I was explaining to him, Priscilla's build and how it's on Bazite in the living room, and she loads up Steam on it, she plays on it, no problem, and it's just constantly being updated and gaining support. And then I pulled two videos from him just to give him an example. Where they talk about the differences between Bazite and SteamOS, and like
Mm.
what they've been doing in the updates. And even I was impressed when I pulled up them videos, and I was like, wait a minute, the guy was on SteamOS because one of my biggest complaints about like I'm just like I went from, even as a nerd for years, I was like, I'll never use Linux. It takes too much coding. It's you gotta know all this back end nerd crap just to move around. It was super like not friendly. This basically looked like a dark mode Windows that this guy was on, and he has it open showing he was on Steam OS, the latest version. He was running OBS, which is what we're streaming on right now. He was running OBS. He was using GIMP, which is the program I use to edit our thumbnails a lot of the times before the show. Uh, he had his Google Chrome up. He had Steam up, the whole thing. Like I was like, it's getting. He was using VLC player or VCL. I can't remember VCL or VLC, whatever, one of those. Which is one of the most famous players, one of the ones I use on my computer, and one of the other things that I heavily do on my computer, run the Plex server. Well, Plex has been super and heavily supported on Linux for years. So I'm almost to the point where my issue of, hey, I don't just game, is being answered on not just SteamOS but also an alternate of Linux, where the the usability is there, or the user accessibility is there, as well, right? I like I said, I got to make sure. Not quite there yet. They're still working on getting uh, the anti-cheat and stuff to run properly on them, but they're coming with native support and drivers for both AMD, and working with Nvidia. And again, they're shoring up any little holes that there are, while meanwhile, I mean, you've seen it yourself, right? Microsoft is in the news every other day for doing something they're not supposed to do.
Yeah. And
PlayStation.
now we got Asha saying, she expects the turnaround for Xbox to be in 2027, where they're in the positive. I don't know how the hell she planned to doing that,
Yeah, how is that gonna
but
happen?
but that's that that you know goes in with Steam as why I don't think they're getting rid of Steam anytime soon right now
Yeah,
because
they're
they're gonna
definitely
need
not.
Steam if
That's
they're
gonna
doing
turn
that.
around.
And my thought process is she when she says that, is she saying that because we're going to be laying off half of the studios so that now the revenue will be higher
Yeah, your
because we've laid
operating
off so many
income.
people? Your operating income is now high because you've laid off half of Xbox's studios and staff. So hey, we're in the green now, but it's not because you did anything positive. It's just because we cut a bunch of people and we saved a bunch of money. I don't know what she's seeing, and I guess maybe she's assuming GTA 6 will be a bump for both PlayStation and Xbox. Maybe she's assuming that will give them enough of a bump to be in the green. I don't know, maybe. Um, but yeah, it's really interesting. It's her and Satya kind of mirrored that same point that they expect 2027. I think quarter four, so at the end 2027 for Xbox to be in the green. They show that graph. Tom Warren showed that graph of Xbox's, you know, financials and their in comparison to every other division within Microsoft, and they are like negative 1.5 billion in the red, while everybody else is
Yep.
in the green. You know, it was just like holy shit. Xbox is just it's in the one of the worst positions that I think I've ever seen of a division of a company, and somehow they're still running. Um, I don't know what plan Asha has laid out to Satya to give him any kind of hope that Xbox can turn itself around. But she said something in that meeting that convinced him to continue to support Xbox and give them the chance to fight back and try to uh, come out in a decent way. Like I think we need to be clear on something. They're never going to beat PlayStation, and at this point, it's just I think at this point it's just about keeping Xbox afloat, keeping them afloat, and more importantly, that they can be self-sustainable, so that they're not, totally relying on Microsoft to keep them operating. I think that's kind of the goal that Xbox is kind of looking for. Like PlayStation is just too astronomically far away from them to even think about reaching, um, their numbers. Even if, like, again, with PlayStation's fuck ups, there's just it's not gonna be like, oh, PlayStation fucked up so much, so Xbox can come in and just swoop in and take their player base. That's not happening. Like it's not. Um, but yeah, this whole thing is interesting. I'm glad that Xbox fans are finally seeing the light on the situation, because I was confused about it and no one felt the need to clarify for me as to why they thought this was a smart idea or how that was going to work with Steam on Xbox. They were just like, let's just focus on the positive, and anything negative, don't worry about it. They'll figure it out. Don't worry about it. I'm like, okay, it's like it's their company. They'll do the math. I was like, okay, you're right. I'll let them figure it out. And it seems like they did figure it out. They did the math and they were like, this doesn't make sense. So, you know, I don't know. We'll see.
Yeah, I agree. Couldn't have said it better myself. Weeb, Mr. 5090, is there anything on the
He
table
did 90.
from all this information, that Xbox is moving forward and trying to entice people, and I guess this big 2027 they're supposed to have. Is there anything on this table that looks like it's going to move you anywhere, even already having an Xbox?
I mean, yeah, I mean, they can try to remove their games from Steam. I mean, I said on Xbox and things like I want to see them try, because I mean, I already have Doom,
Mm-hmm.
bought that from their from the Steam store. So I mean, I already have it. Like, it's not like they're gonna take away games I already bought. I think Valve probably made it very clear that if you agree to their store policy, that you can't just pull a game. I would imagine, from people who already bought it, right? Because that probably is going to be another legal discussion they don't want to have. Um, so yeah, I mean, it's probably going to be the biggest cell phone ever if they actually would do that, because nobody's going to
Right.
could use their Windows Store, and their games are just the only reason their games are surviving and are successful is because they are on other platforms that are not Xbox or Microsoft owned. Like I mean, we've seen it despite the fact that that PC, the PC master race claims that they're not fans or fanboys. They very clearly have preference for Steam because they're always outraged when a game is somehow exclusive to the Epic Store, um, which yes, obviously is a worse store, but still, if it didn't matter, if you're, if PC was truly an open platform, in that sense, if that's the main argument for playing on PC, then it wouldn't really matter. Um, but yeah, I mean, of course, I think Steam, I also prefer Steam despite the fact that GOG has DRM-free games, but it's less hassle. I mean, Steam has all the support. Like I can just play any game with my PS5 controller. I don't need to worry about setting things up. I mean, technically, you can just play your GOG games in Steam. You can just add them there, and then the problem solved. But yeah, that's sort of the convenience of it. And as you said, like it's a very user friendly store that has a lot of options for you to just take away all the worries that a lot of people have with playing on PC. So yeah, I don't really see if you're not putting it on PC. Sorry, it's not putting it on Steam. Yeah, you can forget about your PC games. So yeah, on console, very clearly, the only way Xbox can make money out of their games is by putting it on PlayStation. So yeah, I find it very unlikely they would go through it. But I mean, with Jazz Gordon or whatever leaked it or spread the rumor, obviously he had a very big grain or a bag of salt that he added as an asterisk. So like, yeah, it's just rumors, it could change, and like in the end, like it doesn't matter. Like if they do it, then he could say, yeah, I predicted it. If they don't, then he said, oh, yeah, I said that too. That they could change their mind again, or nothing's set in stone. Like, I mean, yeah, it is kind of funny that they're now somehow spreading that rumor after the PlayStation pulled their games from PC, from Steam, and or at least they're no longer releasing their any new games on there. That somehow the main reason why they were so happy with the next console being a PC uh, disappeared. Because clearly
Hmm.
their own games aren't enough for them. I mean,
Exactly.
yeah, this what it is. Like
Very much so.
but yeah, I mean, I don't think they're gonna do it. I'm pretty sure all their games are gonna be releasing on. I think the thing that will happen sooner is that there's not gonna be an Xbox anymore, and their games are just gonna release only
How dare you, sir?
on Steam or on PlayStation. Like, yeah, that's the more likely scenario of those two possible things that could happen. So yeah, I mean, I'm not worried that that's gonna happen. And like, yeah, I mean, they have some. I mean, I'm very interested in Fable. I'm. I hope that there's going to be Wolfenstein 3. I mean, I'm very skeptical that it's going to release a new Doom anytime soon, considering they lost pretty much all their developers. So I really, I'm kind of fearful in that sense that they're probably going to just use that as an excuse to close the studio at some point because they literally are incapable of delivering anything right now. Um, yeah, I mean, but other than that, like I'm not very interested in any of their IPs. They literally just sold off or spun off the studios that were producing interesting stuff, like Double Fine. Um, and yeah, I mean, they're very clear that there's not a lot of appetite for Gears or Halo off their own platform, but which is kind of telling that this is kind of what you The problem is that you're sort of uh, rely too heavily on those franchises and really just milked them to death, and now you're turn them into irrelevant franchises who don't even placate your own fan base, which is sad, but it is that's kind of the reality of existing IPs. Either you somehow uh, innovate and make them relevant again, like they did with God of War, or let it die, and let your teams, your studios work on something else. But yeah, that's kind of the problem. Xbox is not really, at least according to Asha, not really interested in doing that. They just want to bank on their big IPs, uh, and that's probably what we're going to get in the near future. And to a certain extent, like the decision to have Obsidian work on the new Fallout makes a lot of sense. But there's also, plenty of stuff where, like, there are some potentially interesting IPs that were pitched that could have been a boon to their platform, that could have made them more interesting, more appealing, and they just they're now just doubled down on their failing franchises. Which, I mean, sure, you can try to turn it around, but that's the problem. Xbox or Microsoft doesn't have that capability. They've clearly demonstrated they're incapable of doing it, and I'm despite the fact that, like I said, Asha is sort of removing some management layers. Um, I don't think that will solve the fundamental problem. It won't solve the fact that there are still people there making decisions that really don't have a clue on how to release the game, how to see what works, what could be potentially a hit, or critically successful, and they're kind of sort of trying things, and yeah, I'm very skeptical at their agenda there. Well, same way that PlayStation has their executives with a agenda, with a sort of short term agenda to get their bonuses, get their payouts, show results. Asha clearly has that mission. That's what she put there. That's how she, I think, convinces Satya that she's
Mm-hmm.
going to turn that around in a short amount of time. But yeah, I mean, I would not also be surprised if Asha has like a sort of a time limited assignment where it's like, okay, yeah, I'm gonna turn it around into and that we're no longer in the red, that we're making a profit, and then she's like, and now my job is done. Like I've cut all the unnecessary fat. I've spun off our Soul Studios, closed them down, closed projects. Um, and now it's up to the next guy or gal to make Xbox great again, um, which I'm not really seeing. So yeah, I mean, I'm taking this with a truckload of salt. Like, I don't believe that they're gonna pull against on Steam. Um, yeah, that's my take at least.
Yeah, I don't disagree with that at all. I actually they were kind of they were kind of dumbfounded in chat earlier when I kind of pointed out to them. I was like, "Look, man, I don't think you guys understand that if you push this issue with Steam the way that you guys think it will be, because they were like, "Oh man, this is great. This is gonna boost the reason to go on their platform and blah blah." And I was like, "No, dude, you're just gonna get pushback, and largely what's gonna happen is people are just gonna pirate the game, and you're gonna get people to pirate the game who typically wouldn't have,
Yep.
because I've seen it. Like you mentioned, the whole Epic thing, right? Like I seen somebody who literally doesn't pirate games at all, and a game they wanted to play was Epic exclusive, and they were like, "All right, cool. I'm going to pirate this game until further notice that it is on Steam." And that was it was that simple for them. Like they were like, "Look, no Steam. no buy. And unlike
Borderlands?
consoles, no, it was not Borderlands. But unlike unlike consoles, people have that option on PC. Like, and people they forget about that, and I'm like, yeah, like PC is the Wild West. You know what I mean? Like you can
Yeah.
do whatever you want, and that's the thing that they forget, especially that chat in particular being mainly console players, and they were just like, oh man, well, I mean, you're probably right because people are feel some type of way about Steam, and I was like, honestly, I was like, I would feel the same way because I was like, look, it's because at first they were like, oh yeah, they're such babies about using another launcher that they've already got installed or whatever, and I'm like, it's not about that. I was like, okay, number one, we talked about the policies and stuff that Steam has in place, the way they protect your account, the other things that they do. But also, I have Steam Family on there. I have 6 people in my Steam family. When I purchase things on Steam, they can play it, vice versa, so on and so forth. I'm not giving up that benefit just because Microsoft wants to, collect a little more money. Um, like that's not going to fly. So I'm definitely not going to purchase it on a platform, whether it be a launcher or not, that doesn't give me the benefits that I want when I know it's just really it's a power play. Like so, I'm going to prove to you that the power play is not going to work. And like we said on PC more than ever, those things work for the consumer because we have a bunch of alternatives to employ or deploy, should you try that, and it's like, I don't think they want to test those waters.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, and again, they've tried it before. So it
Yeah,
did not
but
work out.
which is also like the inverse is true in the sense like, yeah, PC gamers can pirate your game, but if you give it in a way that they want it, they'll buy your
A
game.
lot of them will purchase the game. Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah. No problem. Like, I mean, I think we own like everything day one on that we wanted to play on PC on Steam. But like you say, if it wasn't
Yeah.
there, we wouldn't own it. So it's like,
Yeah.
yeah, it's simple as that. Um, Omar, did you have anything else you wanted to add to the whole Xbox, potentially not being on there and everything else that was going on?
Self-inflicted shotgun one, basically. I don't even game on PC like that, and I even know about how atrocious Microsoft Store is. They have an even bigger battle than PlayStation, uh, uphill battle when it comes to how to fix their storefront, but also how to fix their image. So I don't see that happening. Good luck to Microsoft. As always, Microsoft keeps um, finding ways to baffle me how incompetent they are to the level of I'm like, you're literally trying to kill one of your biggest, what you call it, people that actually support your games. Like we've talked about, what you call it, Epic. I'm like, Microsoft, eyes open. Can't you see how people treated Epic? So I don't see, like, this is why I don't think Asha is gonna do good to Xbox. She she doesn't have the foresight, or rather, she doesn't seem to understand the business because you already have a blueprint what not to do, and you're trying to follow that blueprint. It, it's laughable. It's funny. We're gonna see what they're gonna do. And
Yep.
as always, their fan base eating it up. They, sheep followers. Yeah, let's move on to the difficulty topic if you wanna cover it now.
I'm actually probably gonna save it, just because we ran a little long on the other topics,
Yeah, we don't any longer. Yeah, that's why I was saying.
and it's a universal topic, so we can use it kind of any week. Um,
Yeah.
and the Square one ain't really going anywhere. That's kind of an industry problem either, so that's
Oh,
fine.
yeah.
So we'll cover that other stuff a little bit later in another show, because we could talk plenty about the things in those as well. So with that, we got those two main ones out there and out of the way. We're gonna go ahead and call it a day here on the Otter Players Podcast. Yeah, thank you again for everybody who came through. We had some new people come through. Again, always appreciative of the chat, the conversations, and the people who show up, whether you're live or listening to it later. Appreciate everybody and their participation, or just lurking, what have you. But yeah, man, a lot of great games to come. We are officially in August, um, and the onslaught of uh, fall games are about to start. Um, the anime's already been rolling pretty heavy, and the games are
Yeah.
on the way. So, yeah, I've been really enjoying it. I got to watch some more Ghost in the Shell with Morgan. We were super, super enjoying that. Incredible art direction in the new, in the new Ghost in the Shell.
Yep.
So, if you haven't seen it,
That,
Yeah,
definitely check it out.
it's really
that's
good.
real Ghost in the Shell for all the tourists and the larpers that this is the actual adaptation of the actual manga. So the movie was great, but that's not Ghost in the Shell. This is Ghost in the Shell.
Yeah, it's been really cool seeing like the digitized like way they kind of incorporated the blood into like digital and stuff
Yeah.
like that. Like it's
Yeah, it
it's
looks really
been
great.
really great. Um, but yeah, like I said, anime's already pushing off in a big way. Between that and also Heavy Night and a couple other things. Um, so yeah, like I said, we often coincide as gamers and anime watchers and so on. So like to mention that as well. But yeah, with that, we're gonna get up out of here. Weeb, let the people know where they can find you, sir.
Yeah, you can find me on Twitter as the Weep Sheriff at Infinite Rhizome. I've been posting like crazy about all the physical purchases I've been doing, and I will keep on doing that because, yes, physical for life, or at least until Sony finally kills it. Yeah, and then it's probably going to be PC with the PS6 as a side piece, as they have intended, I guess. So yeah, great show again, and yeah, see you hopefully next week. Other Nation.
Automation.
Otter Nation. Morgan, where can the people find you, ma'am?
Yeah, you can find me gaming. Like I said, I'm in that lull right now before the know middle to end of August starts to really pick up with some really great games that I'm excited about. Fall is always the biggest time, at least for me, for gaming, when we get some really memorable games. And I think I have a list of like at least 15 more, games
At
that
the
I'm gonna
very
be
I
least.
playing
know, I
within these
know.
next 2 months. Man, it's insane. Um, but these are good problems to have. This is why we love gaming. There's so much greatness to be had, at least when it comes to the gaming side of gaming. Um, but yeah, hopefully we'll have some you know happier topics next week. Some good news, hopefully. But this industry is always fucking up fucking gamers and developers over, so you never really know. But either way, I'm going to be gaming. I'm going to be having a great time. Um, you know, playing my games, beating my games, and trying my best to destroy my backlog, which will honestly never happen. But it's okay. I like to think, as long as I positively think about my backlog, it's okay. But yeah, like we keep saying, keep it
There,
gaming,
there
and
is no backlog.
there is no backlog. There you go. Denial, absolutely. We'll see you guys next week. Otter Nation.
Other Nation.
Otter Nation. And Omar, where can the people find you, sir?
So, shout out to everyone that came through. Hit that like button, share the stream out. You can find me on Caravan Scotia on Twitter. Play your games, finish your game, and yeah, see you next week.
Cool. And I am your host, Nate, or known as the real Nate on Twitter and Blue Sky. Yeah, like they said, like the people said, man, you can find us gaming every moment, every hour of every day that we can find in the day to do that. Because that's what it's about at the end of the day, enjoying the hobby, enjoying these amazing creations that developers spend so much time, money, and, effort on. And ultimately, an appreciation for the hobby that I'm eternally grateful for being born in this time to be able to enjoy that. But yeah, again, thank you for everybody who came out. And with that, we're up out of here. Otter Nation.
All the nation.
Otter Nation.